Patriarch Zhang, since you have made this decision, I will give you an explanation for Changsheng. King Xuan suddenly said. All the people were shocked and mad after hearing from the lady that from now on, everyone present at the scene will not be allowed to step into Phoenix City. According to her, Beiming seized the demon refining tower from the Feng family. He took the initiative to open the demon refining tower to let all the people experience it and practice their strength. She also added that a person like them is not eligible to enter the Star City. Jiang Dong was furious at her and called her a stinky lady for deceiving too much. He then asked their patriarch Xiaocheng to go back to their Phoenix City and let Beiming and his people deal with the Star Alliance on their own. Patriarch Y, I guess you don't want to be humiliated in the Demon City. Why not leave together so as not to be scorned and rejected by others? There is also the old fox. Everyone is gone. You certainly don't want to stay alone and be bullied. He added to invite General Y that the old fox leave the new city. General Y was just silent as he didn't want to give any comment on this current issue. Jiang Dong glanced back to King Xuan with a clenched fist and confidently said that without their Phoenix City and Heavenly Demon City, the Heavenly Star City is just a shit. Now, he boasted that they could leave this new city and build their own. Xiaocheng doesn't like Jiang Dong's behavior, so he smashes the man's back and commands it to shut up. Changsheng and King Xuan didn't interfere, knowing that it was originally Xiaocheng's man, so they knew that it was only Xiaocheng who could make him silent. I am the Patriarch of Heavenly Phoenix City. What qualification do you have to advocate for me? Xiaocheng said to Jiang Dong, who is now kneeling on the ground. Jiang Dong ironically smiled at him. Xiaocheng then faced back to King Xuan and claimed that he had no way to govern and had offended the lady a lot because of Jiang Dong. He politely asked the lady to stop this matter and just focus on other important things. General Y agreed, and according to him, the Star Alliance has not been eliminated, so he wants King Xuan to put the overall situation as the most important thing. But then, as per King Xuan, Star City is in charge of Beiming, and to insult Phoenix City is also to insult Beiming. If the two cities want to understate it, it will not be good for all of them. General Y doesn't get what she really meant to say, so she explains that Jiang Dong wants to occupy the Demon Refining Tower and wants to form a gang to isolate the Star City and then shake the determination of the three cities to fight the Star Alliance. For her, this kind of person must not stay in this city and should be put to death. However, Xiaocheng's friendship to Beiming is not shallow, and he has contributed a lot to the construction of the new city, so because of it, she decided that the troublemakers will not die but instead be driven out of the new city to avoid disaster in the future. Xiaocheng was shocked upon hearing it, since some of these people were his men. His people were begging him to help them as they didn't want to be driven out of the new city. At the same time, Jiang Dong is telling Xiaocheng that King Xuan is not well-intentioned, so he doesn't want Xiaocheng to just easily agree with the lady. Xiaocheng glanced at him with anger. He then commanded Jiang Dong and the people with him to take their families and leave the new city within 1 hour. If you still let me see you in an hour, don't blame me for cruelty, he added, and his people rattled. An hour later, these people started to leave the new city as what King Xuan wanted. And while they were leaving, elders were staring at them. This is called stealing chicken and losing rice. Even my heavenly demon city got in. General Y said, how do I know that this city lord's wife is so powerful? Plus this group of troublemakers are extremely stupid. Thinking of taking the opportunity to crush the Star City, now it's all right, but it's been generalized. Xiaocheng replied. The old fox behind him laughed and told him that he deserved it. As per General Y, after experiencing this incident, the interior of the new city should be able to become harmonious, and it will also be a good thing for them to fight the Star Alliance in the future. All of a sudden, the old fox saw something coming their way. They saw several airships, and they were still clueless about who it was since it wasn't clearly visible. They weren't aware that it was the Star Alliance's airships. From inside their airship, they saw the new city that Beiming built, and a man said that he didn't expect a group of people to build such a new city in such a short period of time. It was Mei Ganjun. However, the insects are only insects. After all, no matter how hard they struggle, they cannot escape the fate of being swallowed by the strong. He added. He was facing his daughter Mei Ruting, and his daughter smiled and agreed to him. Ganjun then asked his daughter to report this matter about the new city to the senior leaders of the Star Alliance. Meiru at this point still recalled Beiming's strength and how Beiming was able to make a weapon using their black gold armor. She said that she didn't expect Beiming would defeat her, and now she was dazzled by revenge. Her father then glanced at him and wondered about who this Chen Beiming that her daughter mentioned. Meiru then said that her defeat and Heavenly Phoenix City's change of ownership were all caused by Chen Beiming. She now accepted the fact that Beiming is not easy to deal with, so she warned her father. That being said, it is necessary for your father to see it with his own eyes. Ganjun replied. He then commanded his men to notify the ministries to launch an offense, and he ironically smiled and declared that their new goal this time was to obtain the new city. On the other hand, Beiming is still at the demon refining tower, sitting on the ground while staring at the statues. The Lady Spider suddenly came back to report that the people from the Star Alliance had come. Beiming was shocked as he never expected that their enemy would come too early. Several airships were still flying above the new city and the citizens were clueless. Without any words, the Star Alliances attacked the new city, and the people panicked and immediately ran to hide. General Y at the same time didn't expect that these Star Alliance people planned to have a blatant attack. He then ordered some defenders to immediately guide the people to the refuge in the city while the remaining defenders would quickly counterattack. They widely opened the city gate and Xiaocheng ordered the captains to start the cannon and instantly gave them permission to fire on the enemy. Numerous cannons were aimed at the airships of Star Alliance and since it's very durable, Xiaocheng commanded their men to keep firing. At this point, the Star Alliance attacked them and the ground strongly shook. "Lord Zhang, are you okay?" the man asked, and Xiaocheng answered yes. He was staring at the airships of the Star Alliance and noticed that it remained unscathed despite that they were able to hit it at the shelling. Inside the airships of the Star Alliance, Ganjin ordered some men to pass a message to their front line to keep them alive as he planned to pick a few potential fighters from them. His daughter Mei Ru then informed him that King Sang wanted to see him and had some important things to talk about. King Sang then showed himself and politely greeted Mei Ru and her father. "Fen King Sang, do you still have face to meet me? T tried every means to assist you in becoming the city lord of Heavenly Phoenix City. Not only did you lose your position as city lord, but you also caused the people of the three major cities to unite against the Star Alliance. How will you make up for this loss?" Ganjin stated while slightly glancing at King Sang. King Sang then asked for his forgiveness and accepted the fact that the defeat of his Heavenly Phoenix City was indeed not a small matter. According to him, he came and met Ganjin to make atonement to him. Ganjin invited him to go to a private room and have a private chat. After entering, King Sang then told everything to Ganjin about what happened to the Emperor Hunter's ruin. He said that he was lucky enough to go inside the ruin and learned that there were a lot of purgatory fires inside. He also believes that there are possibly more rare treasures once they explore the ruin deeply. After hearing his statement, Ganjin then remembers that this fire of purgatory is something extremely rare even in the Star Alliance. He was also interested in the treasures that King Sang mentioned. He then asked King Sang who else knew about this ruin and King Sang answered that it was the people from the Black Pagoda and some people from the three major cities. In addition, he informed Ganjin that Chen Beiming was one of the people who explored the ruin and was also the one who discovered it. Ganjin was shocked as he never imagined that Chen Beiming was knowledgeable enough to know about this Emperor Hunter's ruin. He clenched his fist and he was trembling as he hated Beiming so much. He cannot accept the fact that Chen Beiming defeated her daughter and now is connected with this Emperor Hunter ruins exploration. Meanwhile, at Beiming's mansion, Mei Ru together with her people of Star Alliance were outside. They were with a person named Wu Wensheng, Mei Ru's soon-to-be husband, and this bald man smiled while asking if the mansion in front of them was really their target's home, which is Chen Beiming. He came to see for himself what kind of person Beiming is and he also wants to avenge Mei Ru for putting the lady in shame. Mei Ru became silent as she recalled what happened before they came to Beiming's mansion. She told her father that Chen Beiming has many tricks and might have already found a place to hide at this moment. Because of her conclusion, she wanted to lead a team to capture Chen Beiming alive. After informing her father about her plan, Ganjin then decided to give the lady permission to lead a team into the city to capture Chen Beiming, but she should be with Wensheng. Mei Ru disagreed since she's very confident that she can lead the team alone this time, so she doesn't want Wensheng to be with her. Although you are married to Wensheng, you have never been to the Wu family, and the Mei family has been unable to stand firm in the Star Alliance. Therefore, I want you to take this opportunity to make your relationship further. In this way, I can also propose to the Wu family to officially marry you, and the future of the Mei family will not have to worry about anything. Ganjin replied. Mei Ru cannot accept it, but she didn't dare to argue with his father and instead clenched her fist out of annoyance. At the present time, Star Alliance people entered Chen Beiming's mansion under the lead of Wensheng. Wensheng was screaming, ordering Beiming to show himself. All of a sudden, Yuru's rope was struck on the ground, causing it to crumble. They all then heard the lady's voice, telling them that their city lord's mansion was not a market. If you want to play the rank show, it is recommended to go north to the Animal City where the monkey demon will welcome you. Yuru added. She's together with Ziyu and Kingshuan, and seeing them makes Wensheng smile while saying that he never thought there was such a beautiful woman in this new city. Most of all, he was drooling after seeing Chen Beiming's beautiful lady. Her lady Mei-ru doesn't care about his behavior, but instead, she screams to ask where Chen Beiming is. She calls the ladies as shrinking turtles, which causes King Xuan to be annoyed and possess her flame, then attacks it to Mei-ru. Mei-ru rattled upon seeing it since she was unprepared, but she was lucky enough since Wencheng immediately went in front of her and blocked King Xuan's flame by activating a shield. King Xuan and Yu-ru were shocked to see Wencheng directly block the attack. Sister Mei, it seems that the other side chose the hard way, so let this lord handle it, Wencheng said. Mei-ru was shocked to witness what Wencheng was trying to do. Wencheng smirked as he uttered that the beauties in the wasteland should have different tastes compared with other women. Both Yu-ru and King Xuan were confused not until Wencheng rushed to them while screaming. By this, Yu-ru and King Xuan were able to see that Wencheng had a cultivation of the King Hunter realm. Wencheng tried to attack them and they fortunately managed to dodge. King Xuan then casts her fireball and attacks it back to Wencheng, but Wencheng activates his shield once more and blocks King Xuan's skill. King Xuan now feels that Wencheng is really not easy to deal with. The beauty is not only hot but also makes feel hot. I can hardly bear it. It's better hit the iron while it's still hot. Let's finish this now, Wencheng uttered, and attacked King Xuan using his black gold metal armor. Yu-ru knew that this was a dangerous move, so she ordered King Xuan to get away from where she was standing. She then jumped towards Wencheng while activating her power, but Wencheng got a chance to see her behind. But then, he doesn't have a chance to react as he sees Yu-ru's Horcrux possesses a red flame and surrounds him. The defenders of the Star Alliance then ask Mei-ru's permission to help Wencheng, but Mei-ru recalls what her father said to her, that if she doesn't enter the Wu family, their Wei family will find it difficult to gain a foothold in the Star Alliance. Her hands were trembling while telling herself that she didn't want to marry Wencheng. She then told her defenders not to give any help to Wencheng and just reasoned out that Wencheng could handle it by himself, so there's no reason for them to intervene. One of her defenders was about to disagree, but Mei-ru glanced at him with anger. What? Do you want to disobey my orders? Or, you are doubting Wu Wencheng's strength and think that you are better than him? She said. These subordinates don't dare. How can these scumbags be Wu Wencheng's opponent? Her defender replied. Surprisingly, Wencheng still has the guts to smile while saying that Yu-ru is not only an attractive lady but also has a lot of treasures. At this point, he managed to break Yu-ru's silk thread with just brute force, and Yu-ru was shocked upon seeing it. Wencheng then raises his hand and declares that he is becoming more and more interested in Yu-ru and King Xuan, so he doesn't want these ladies to escape from his hand. He punched the ground with great force and possessed his prison of the sleeping beasts technique. The ground is shaking while Yu-ru and King Xuan are clueless about what's going on. Strange things then appeared from the ground and it looked like metal hands that surrounded the ladies. King Xuan was so mad while staring at Wencheng. Wencheng then slowly walked towards them and he said that both ladies didn't need to be afraid as he didn't have any intentions to hurt them. I won't hurt you as long as you two agree to be my women, and tell me where Chen Beiming is, he added with an ironic smile. He was about to say some consequences once the two ladies disobeyed him, but he was cut off when he heard someone asking him what he's gonna do. He turned his head around to check who it was, and at the same time, Mei-ru felt a little bit nervous as they finally saw Chen Beiming, who was currently holding the skeletal demon gun. So you are Chen Beiming? Wencheng asked, and Beiming instantly answered yes. As per Wencheng, Beiming seems to be pretty good and he thinks that Beiming's cultivation is also not low. Now, he proclaimed that Beiming would have a chance to live as long as he handed the Horcrux. Other than that, if Beiming agrees, he's also willing to introduce Beiming to the Star Alliance of his Wu family. Without any hesitation, Beiming refused his offer. Mei-ru and her defender were shocked to see Beiming instantly go behind Wencheng at a fast speed. Even Wencheng himself was startled and confused by what just happened. Beiming then punched him with great force, causing him to flew away and slam on the wall. Even if I want to join the Star Alliance, can you stop me? Beiming asked. The Star Alliance's defenders were all dumbfounded as they couldn't understand what just happened, since Beiming really had unbelievable speed. Mei-ru at the same time was confused, knowing that Beiming was clearly in front of everyone just now, and moved to Wu Wencheng's back in the blink of an eye. Now, she confirmed that Beiming's cultivation had grown so much in a short span of time. Beiming then dashed to the metal hands that Wencheng cast and slashed them one by one. Yu-ru and King Xuan looked at each other with a smile on their faces, seeing Beiming getting stronger more and more. How dare you offend my woman with your dirty mouth? Beiming said while pointing his dagger to Wencheng. He then scares Wencheng by telling this man that his mouth will be torn apart and his tongue will be cut off so that he can never say such words to a woman. At this time, Mei-ru decides to stop Beiming and advises Beiming to let go of Wencheng immediately, or else all the people of Beiming's new city will pay a heavy price for it. Beiming then glanced at the lady and said that it was her, the former defeated Captain Mei. You want me to let him go? It's not impossible, but you have to let the people backing you come out to save him. Beiming answered. He wants the chief commander of the Star Alliance, which is Mei Ru's father, Mei Ganjun, to personally come down. Mei Ru was shocked to hear the name of her father from Beiming's mouth, as she never expected Beiming to know her father. Mei Ru this time concludes that Beiming was thinking that he could win against her father. This time, she was staring at Beiming and told herself to help Beiming die from their hands. She then turned around and told Beiming that she would now arrange a meeting for Beiming and her father right away. After a while, Beiming went outside the new city's gate together with his people and their hostage Wencheng. Cheng then declared that the people of Star Alliance, especially Mei Ganjun, finally came. Ganjun fearlessly stood in front of them together with her daughter and some of his defenders. I gave you this opportunity to build a good relationship with Wu Wencheng. Not only did you let him fall into the enemy's hand, but I even had to save him personally. At this point, there's no more need of you here, Ganjun said to his daughter. He scolded his daughter as he was afraid that the Wu family would take responsible action if anything happened to Wu Wencheng. He also told his daughter not to blame for not caring about family affection and driving the lady out of their family and sending her to the Wu family as a slave for life. Despite the fact that Mei Ru doesn't like her father's words, she doesn't say anything but instead remains silent. I am the chief commander of this battle, and the current head of the Mei family, Mei Ganjun. Are you Chen Beiming? Ganjun stated, and Beiming answered yes. Upon seeing these people of Star Alliance, Wencheng immediately asked for help from Ganjun, but Cheng smacked his head and ordered him to stay silent. After seeing Cheng hit Wencheng, Ganjun screamed Wencheng's name out of shock. He then gave a warning to Beiming that their Star Alliance is not easy to deal with. And now that he personally came, he angrily asked Beiming to release Wencheng quickly. He activates his power and declares that no one in the new city would survive today if Beiming won't release Wencheng. Upon seeing that he's a Saint Hunter level cultivator, Cheng and Yuru become terrified. But then, Beiming grips his weapon and doesn't believe that Ganjun can really kill all of the people in his city. Patriarch Mei, are you threatening me? He asked. Without any hesitation, Beiming struck his weapon to Wencheng's back, causing Ganjun to panic and scream in anger. Beiming pulls out his weapon from Wencheng's wound, and seeing what he did makes Ganjun think that Beiming is seeking death. Ganjun unleashed his sword and raised it up. An insect made of blue gas appeared, and Yuru was surprised upon seeing it. As per Guboi, the sword Ganjun has is not simple, and it's realizing a chilling kai as if it can cut everything in the world. Chilling kai, where? How can I not feel it? Cheng replied. On the other hand, Beiming knew that Ganjun was using a demon god technique. It's a special technique that can split the soul into several parts and give them different forms. It's largely used to overwhelm the enemy, expose his flaws, and finally kill him. But even if Ganjun is a saint-level hunter, Beiming believes that Ganjun can't display even 10,000 of the strength of this beast he summoned. What's more, it's just a demon beast transformed by a mere sword kai, so Beiming doesn't feel frightened at all. Look carefully how I'm going to destroy him, he uttered while holding his skeleton demon gun. He then casts his shock of demon spear technique, and Ganjun panics upon seeing it. Fortunately, Beiming hits his sword and he doesn't get a chance to dodge it. He was so shocked and couldn't believe that Beiming was only just a king-level hunter, which is lower level than him. Other than that, he cannot believe that he doesn't have the chance to dodge after Beiming faces his soul blade that can cut everything with just a single blow. The moment Beiming his sword, he slides backward, and her daughter Mei Ru immediately runs to him and asks if he's fine. He was staring at Beiming while accepting the fact that there is such an amazing character in this new city, and that is Beiming. For him, if Beiming was born in the Star Alliance, Beiming's future must be limitless, and he said that it was a pity that Beiming was born in the Wasteland City. He was trembling in anger while telling Beiming that he shouldn't go against the Star Alliance. Now that you have already taken this step, you can only die, he added while summoning another beast from his sword. After a few seconds, his divine beasts appeared from his sword, and Guboi this time said that Ganjun really had a weird technique. He was surprised since he had never seen something like this technique in his whole life. Yuru at the same time was shocked to see more monsters of Ganjun appeared. Cheng then told her that the number only increased, and he was confident that Beiming could still deal with them easily with his current strength. Mei Ru heard what he said, and he smiled as she disagreed with Cheng knowing that every monster that will appear is the same level as her father, and she believed that it would be a big mistake to think that only the number had increased. She was staring at Beiming while thinking that it was impossible for Chen Beiming to resist the attack of so many saint-level beasts. Her mood instantly changes when Beiming says, "Is this the weapon that you are proud of? It's just an upgraded one." Ganjun felt insulted by Beiming's statement, while his daughter Mei Ru was also furious at Beiming. "Aren't you ashamed?" If you are afraid, just say it straight, there is still time for surrender, she stated. Beiming slightly smiled and said that there was no reason for him to be afraid. He also added that Mei-ru really thinks that the demon god technique is really that powerful. Beiming struck his weapon on the ground and possessed power from his fingers while saying that he'd close the Mei family's mouth forever today. After saying it, he activates a new technique called Proverbs of the Nine Emperors, and seeing this technique of Beiming makes Mei-ru clueless. From this golden circle that appeared with Beiming's new technique, a dragon comes out and Ganjun is shocked knowing that this is a demon beast that are ancient creatures and are saint-level demons. He cannot believe that Beiming turned so many demons into just one big monster. I charge a lot, and it's not easy that I compromise with someone. If you want to live, give half of your high-level treasures, Beiming uttered with a smile on his face. Ganjun and Mei-ru are both dumbfounded and mad at Beiming for giving them unbelievable command. So what if you can condense all the beast in one? It's just an empty trick. Do you think it can fool me? Ganjun replied. He widely smiles and proudly says that his sword can even stimulate the blood talent of the demon beasts, which he believes that Beiming couldn't do with his cultivation. Talking about the Proverbs of the Nine Emperors, he stated that he had never heard something like this. He then declared that he would show Beiming what his demon beast was capable of. These beasts were heading towards Beiming and Beiming still dared to say that these beasts were all weak. He then used his Proverbs of the Nine Emperors with killing intent. This technique creates a dazzling light and is heading to the beast's enemies. Ganjun was jaw-dropping as he witnessed how his monsters were easily killed in just one attack. His daughter Mei-ru also clearly saw it. The beasts of her father completely disappeared and Ganjun sweated while thinking about what this technique Beiming used to easily defeat his triple monsters. Proverbs of the Nine Emperors, array. Beiming screamed and the dragon from this technique appeared again and now went towards Ganjun. Mei-ru rattled and immediately suggested her father to use his black gold mecha. Ganjun listened to her advice and the moment he was going to cast an attack, he didn't see Beiming, but in an instant, Beiming suddenly appeared behind him at a fast speed. Beiming then attacked Ganjun's black gold mecha and used his Proverbs of the Nine Emperors to crush it. Ganjun rattled as he felt some danger. The area where he was standing exploded and Mei-ru immediately ran at him with a worried face. Ganjun this time is already wounded. He was sitting on the ground while holding his arm and said that his black gold mecha that even a Horcrux can't scratch was easily crushed by Beiming. If I had a cultivation of Emperor Hunting Realm, I could condense hundreds of these demons, Beiming uttered. As per Beiming, Ganjun has no chance of winning against him, and even if he orders his battleship to destroy the new city, he will surely die at the hands of Beiming. Beiming added that if his city is destroyed, they can just rebuild it, but if Ganjun's life is gone, it's really gone and it will be not worthy. So do you want to fight or chat? Beiming asked, and Ganjun said that there was nothing for them to talk about. He was so mad as he brought up that their Mei family spent countless efforts in the heavenly Phoenix City but was destroyed by Chen Beiming. If you want to talk, first you have to make up for all the losses of my Wii family. If you are able to do it, don't just think about talking. I can even let you marry my daughter, he added. Mei-ru was annoyed that her father was willing to let Chen Beiming, their enemy, marry her. On the other hand, Beiming knew that marriage was the usual method used by the Star Alliance. They first pretend to get married, find out all the information about the other families, and in the end, eliminate the families one by one. He snapped his finger and planned to accompany Ganjun in the play that he started. He then pointed to the lady and declared that he wanted to marry Mei-ru into this new city and be happy forever. Ganjun was so shocked to hear it from Beiming as he never thought Beiming would agree. At the same time, Kingshuan was shocked while her sister Zi was annoyed at Beiming since Beiming just playing around never comes into their minds. Not only we make up for your losses, but I'll also pay Miss May's wedding dowry. It's just that the gift is a bit big. I'm afraid Patriarch won't accept it, Beiming said. Ganjun was so confused since Beiming was very arrogant with him earlier, and now changes abruptly. He was so curious about what gift Beiming was talking about and he wondered if Beiming really took his marriage proposal seriously. A part of him is hesitant to believe knowing that Beiming really had unbelievable strength, and impossible for him to be naive. While he was thinking, Beiming was patiently waiting for his response. At the same time, his daughter Mei-ru turned around with annoyance wondering how things turned out like this. Since Ganjun didn't give an answer, Beiming asked him once again if he wanted to accept the gift he planned to give. Ganjun is still curious and he smiles as he starts to believe that Beiming is really naive and easy to deal with. The Mei family is one of the top families in the Star Alliance. We have many Horcrux, pills, and family properties. What possibly can you gift? he stated. The Star Alliance people were shocked after hearing Beiming say that he was willing to give some of the relics and treasures he found at the ancient ruins. Even Ganjin himself was shocked and asked Beiming once more for him to make sure. Beiming this time activates his fire of purgatory and lets it fly towards Ganjin. Ganjin and his daughter were surprised to see this treasure. Ganjin accepted it and Beiming said that he knew that the Star Alliance had many treasures, but there weren't many like the fire of purgatory. He believes that this fire of purgatory should be more than enough to compensate for the Wei family. Talking about the gift, the ancient ruins seem abandoned, but there are countless treasures hidden inside. Among them, there are thousands of ruins of ancient kings and imperial families, and even one of the ruins is worth more than half of the Star Alliance's treasures. So, what does the Mei family think about such a big gift? Beiming asked with crossed arms. Mei-ru remains silent while her father is looking at her. The owner of the ancient ruins should be at least in the Emperor Hunter realm, and the treasures inside will be priceless, so Ganjin was surprised that Beiming, a kid who's only in the King Hunter realm, wanted to use these treasures as a dowry. He then asked Beiming if it was possible for Beiming to be the king of the ruins. After what he concludes, his daughter and defenders also wonder while Beiming smiles at him. According to him, the Star Alliance can only rely on 2 points. One is the Valley of the Gods where the demons beasts run rampant, forming a natural defensive line. Second are the supplies of materials and treasures from the ruins. He offered Ganjin to cut off all the sources so that the Star Alliance could no longer profit from the ruins. Ganjin was speechless while saying in his mind that Beiming too was ambitious without thinking that their Mei family was also counted in. He then concludes that Beiming wants the Star Alliance to know that they messed with the wrong person. If Patriarch Mei is worried to anger the Star Alliance, then it's not necessary. As long as the Mei family becomes an emperor hunting family, what can the Star Alliance do? Beiming said. Ganjin was shocked knowing that his efforts in the Heavenly Phoenix City were just to become a first-class family in the Star Alliance. But the Emperor Hunter family, he doesn't even think about it. At this point, he offered a proposal to Beiming and Beiming smiled as he successfully made Ganjin believe in him. The next day, Cheng was running at the city as fast as he could since there were guards chasing him. He was wearing a red cloth and it seemed like he was scared. While he's running, his grandfather blocked his way. Today is your engagement with Miss Mei. Don't even think about running away like last time. Gu boy said. He then commanded the Gu guards to bring Cheng back, and the 2 guards were forcibly pulling him. Let me go. I don't want to marry the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Somebody help me. Cheng screamed in fear. At the same time, inside the Star Alliance's airship, Mei-ru was so mad and said that she doesn't want to marry Cheng. Father, do you want to marry with this indigenous? Besides, even if you want to marry me, it should be with the one surnamed Chen. Why is it Gu? She added. Shut up. You know what? We have joined forces with the 3 major cities. With their help we can become an Emperor Hunter family. It's way better than being the slave of the Star Alliance. Besides, it's just an engagement. Compared to Chen Beiming, marrying in a small family is easier to control. Even if Chen Beiming fails, we can still weaken his strength, which is a great achievement in the Star Alliance. Ganjin angrily said to his daughter. Mei-ru is having a tantrum and her father asked her to listen as he only did this for the future of their Mei family. He also mentioned this time that he has killed Wen Cheng to just prove their loyalty to Beiming, and he doesn't want Mei-ru to ruin what he started. What he wants now is to make Mei-ru a spy so he can know Beiming's plans. In the end, Mei-ru is just being used by her father for a purpose and she doesn't like it. She was mad but she didn't dare to disobey her father. At Beiming's mansion, the old fox is running at a fast speed and goes directly to Beiming to report something important. Beiming was discussing with the elders and he turned his head behind, wondering what the old fox wanted to report. According to the old fox, it was about a sacred mountain of demon beasts. It is said that Gii Mountain was already a holy land of ancient races even before the falling of the wasteland. He stated that the ancient races have disappeared. Now an old demon emperor is sitting on the Gii Mountain, dominating all the demon beasts, and none of them dares to go against this demon emperor. Beiming then recalled that there is only a few information about Gii Mountain in the Star Alliance records, and the demon emperor, an ancient race, are not mentioned. Now, he concludes that it could be that Gii Mountain has hidden secrets like Emperor Hunter Ruin, and somebody deliberately erased the information about them. In addition, regarding the demon envoy, Beiming had always thought that the system of the demon beasts was very simple. Even if there was a demon emperor, they shouldn't be so organized. He realizes that all this is something beyond his understanding. He asked the old fox about the reason why the demons of Gii Mountain came to this new city, but the old fox wasn't sure. He said that as soon as the demon envoy came, they said they wanted to meet the city lord, although that was definitely not a good thing. Beiming was so curious why the demons of Gii Mountain wanted to meet him, and at the same time, Xiaocheng uttered that half of the new city had just been destroyed by the Mei family, and the fortifications hadn't been repaired yet, so he wondered what if these demons want to cause trouble. Xianli is beside him, who mentioned that the Mei family married the Gu family, so they gave away a few warships as dowry to make up for the Mei family's losses. Yuan Patriarch behind Beiming was mad knowing that the Mei family killed Wu Wencheng just to avoid junctions. What's more is that the engagement ceremony is still in preparation and the two haven't been officially married yet. They all have a lot of worries about what would possibly happen to the new city, so Beiming calms them down first and tells them that the demon envoy only came to meet him, but for now, he cannot say it's a blessing or curse, so he wants everyone not to panic. Since it was Beiming, the elders didn't have a choice but to listen and trust him. Beiming was able to calm them down, so he asked the old fox where he could find the visitor. As per the old fox, visitors are in the demon city and he already prepared food and wine to entertain them. Brother Fox and I will go to meet the demons, the rest of you be prepared in case anything happens, Beiming said and left. After a few minutes, they arrived at the demon city, and as soon as they entered the hall, Beiming instantly saw the demons of the Gii Mountain. They were tossing the wine and enjoying themselves while they were boasting each other's strength in terms of drinking. Beiming was so disappointed since for him, these demon envoys looked like some mountain bandits. As per the old fox, although these demon envoys' cultivation base is not high, and they are sloppy, they have the demon mark left by the old demon emperor, and 10 old men combined can't beat a single one of these demon envoys. After hearing about the demon mark, Beiming recalled this thing from his past life. Some powerful demon emperors can condense their own bloodline into marks and put them into the souls of other demons. Once they are in danger, they can break the seal and display the demon emperor's bloodline. However, the condensation of the mark can also harm the demons, except for the clan members of direct bloodline. The demon emperors will never sacrifice his own blood for the other demon races, so the demon emperor of Mount Gii turned out to be a pig demon. One pig demon saw the fox together with Beiming. As you requested, I brought the city lord, the old fox replied. He then told Beiming that it was the head of the demon envoy. Chen Beiming pays his respects to the demon envoy. Beiming politely said. The head of the demon envoy asked Beiming if he was a hunter. The other demon envoys were murmuring behind, stating that the old fox had surrendered to a mere hunter. They also noticed the difference between Beiming with the old fox. The head of the demon envoys stated that he doesn't care at all if Beiming is a human or a demon. According to him, the orders of the demon emperor are to send the cultivator above the demon king realm to the burial god valley to aid the Gii Mountain. Beiming then instantly remembers that this burial valley this demon envoy's head mentions is the land between the ruins and the Star Alliance. Now, he was thinking that the Gii Mountain demons might be planning to war against the Star Alliance. Beiming then immediately asked the demon envoy's head why he was suddenly asking for help. The head won't give Beiming an answer as it was their demon's business, which has nothing to do with the hunters. He told Beiming not to obstruct the new city's demons to go and help them. Beiming was so confused as to why this demon envoy's head felt that it would be troublesome for them if there was a hunter interfering. Because of it, he lied to the head envoy that he was not a hunter. The head stared at him and was hesitant to believe what he just said. Beiming told him that he was also a demon beast. The head envoy said that he only heard that monsters in the Demon King realm can take a hunter's appearance. He started to believe that Beiming was the Demon King. And now, he asked which sort of beast Beiming is. Beiming glanced at the old fox to ask for some help, and the old fox then interrupted by informing the head envoy that it is a taboo between a monster and beast to rashly talk about each other's race. The demon kings chose to take the human form to hide their weakness and their body. Unless their relationship is particularly close, even the closest beast can't easily know the monster itself. The demon envoy's question is really improper. He added. The head envoy accepted his mistake and apologized to them. He now 100% believes that Beiming is really a monster who only had a human form, so he declared that they can now discuss together with Beiming. According to him, the old demon emperor of Gii Mountain is his brother-in-law. He heard that a group of monsters refused to accept it, so his brother-in-law summoned various monsters to deal with them, and it seems that some hunters were also involved. Speaking of the hunters of Berrien Valley, Beiming concludes that it might be the Star Alliance that occupies a treasure land there. Moreover, Beiming has vaguely heard in his previous life that the Star Alliance and the Monsters group had a battle in the Valley of Burial Gods. At this point, Beiming told the head envoy not to worry as he was willing to personally lead the demon beasts in his city to help Gii Mountain. After their discussion, Beiming then comes out from the meeting hall of demons, and while they are walking, The old fox tells Beiming that he honestly doesn't understand why Beiming wants to get involved with their monster's business. Fox brother, you don't know. Although they are married to the Mei family right now, if we want to completely isolate the ruins from the Star Alliance, only the Mei family isn't enough. Beiming answered. He also concludes that this new city will sooner or later be discovered, and at this time, it is still unknown for him if his new city will be able to go against the current Star Alliance. Therefore, he wanted to try to hold the Valley of the Burial God and drag the Star Alliance so that the Star Alliance couldn't easily come to the ruins. He knows that in this way, they have more time to accumulate strength to fight future battles. The old fox is hesitant to let Beiming join their beast war since Beiming is still a human after all. Although Beiming can fool a warlord-level demon envoy, the old fox still can't deny the fact that the old demon emperor can't easily be fooled. In addition, Gii Mountain monsters have very sensitive noses. They hate hunters, and the old fox is afraid that Beiming is impossible to pass as a demon beast. Beiming then told him not to worry as he already had a plan, but he only needed a little favor from this old fox. When the night came, the old fox went outside to the demon city. He makes a loud strange noise which makes the head envoy tremble in fear and hide on the gate. The old fox roared and struck the gate which startled the head envoy. After a day, Beiming is dripping some beast blood on the fire, and according to him, with this, he'll be able to send out the spirit of the beast to make it look real. But because the spirit of the beast is so striking, it is easy to be antagonized by other monsters, and because of the complexity of the recipe, it is abandoned by the Star Alliance as a chicken rib. Beiming sat down on the floor and he smiled knowing that he successfully got all the recipes he needed. He then closed his eyes as he started doing the alchemy. A few days later at the Gu family's mansion, the engagement was still ongoing and the people congratulated Gu Boy since he's Cheng Cheng's father. Inside the mansion, Kingshuan and Ziyu were inside together with the old fox. Old fox, weren't you helping Chen Beiming to collect blood? How come you are here? Ziyu asked. The old fox then answered that today was a big day, that's why he came. While they were talking, Cheng Cheng was planning to escape, but he was having a hard time seeing a lot of people present to attend his wedding ceremony. All of a sudden, Jui Tang appeared behind him, so he reasoned out that he suddenly felt pain in his stomach, so he needed to leave and go back after. When he was about to walk away, Jiu Tang grabbed his shoulder and asked him to endure the pain no matter how uncomfortable he was. He was afraid that Cheng Cheng would escape once again as he did long ago when he was about to marry the Wang family. Cousin Jui, you and I are blood-related brothers, so do you have the heart to watch me fall into the fire pit? Cheng Cheng answered. Enough. It's about the future of the Gu family and the new city. You have to endure it. Besides, it's an engagement. It's not like you're going down the hill. Jui Tang said. Cheng Cheng then told him that it should be him who should marry the Mei family since he cares so much for their Gii family. Besides, he's willing to be an ex-member of the Gu family, so he doesn't want Jui Tang to mind who's the one he should marry. Jui Tang was already annoyed and pulled him to bring him to his respective area. But then, Cheng Cheng is really hard-headed since he really doesn't like to marry Mei Ru as he is not attached to the lady at all. For him, Mei Ru is an ugly one who doesn't deserve him. Mei Ru suddenly came and heard him call the lady an ugly one. The lady this time is also wearing the red wedding dress, and she said to Cheng Cheng, "How dare you call me ugly? Do you think that this lady is not worthy of you?" Jui Tang was attracted to her beauty and he was thrilled by just staring at the lady. Although not as good as the city lord's wife, she is also one of the best beauties. "Cousin, go and get engaged for your brother," he said while holding Cheng Cheng's shoulder. Lady Mei Ru called them a bunch of buns who seemed never to have seen a woman. She also said that if it wasn't for the Mei family, she wouldn't have even cared for someone like Cheng Cheng, let alone marrying. She came to agree since it was her father who forced her and she was doing this for the sake of her Mei family. People really depend on clothes, house, and saddles, just a little bit like this, like a woman. It's a pity that this young master has his own heart. It doesn't matter how good you look, you won't be able to see it. Cheng Cheng said. Mei Ru then concludes that Cheng Cheng wanted to refuse the engagement. Cheng Cheng then answered that it doesn't matter if he really wants to refuse the engagement since Jui Tang is more interested in the lady. And he even suggested the lady get married with his cousin Jui Tang instead of him. And as per Mei Ru, this matter about marriage has already been discussed by everyone, which they should not disobey and put their families to shame. Cheng Cheng doesn't care at all as he doesn't see himself as a tool. Whoever he marries, he claims that he has the final say, and he won't let anybody else decide for him. He teases the lady for talking about engagement when in fact, she also doesn't want to get married. He suggested to the lady that they both should run away and cancel the marriage. Mei Ru was silent and hesitant since she never went against her father since she was a child for the sake of the Mei family. She cannot believe that Changsheng wants them both to escape and wonders if Changsheng is really not afraid to provoke the anger of their both families and carry on his back with infamy. All of a sudden, someone came and disturbed them all. It was the people from the Black Pagoda led by Gii Mountain. We came here to congratulate the Gu and Mei family, Gii Mountain said with an ironic smile on his face. Yuru and Ziyu then stood in front of them to block their way. At the same time, Changsheng concludes that these people came for revenge. Aren't you afraid of being hit by Boss Chen and turning the Black Pagoda into ashes? He asked. Gii Mountain laughed while asking Changsheng if he still really thinks that Chen Beiming is still alive up until now. All of a sudden, a huge explosion happened at Beiming's mansion. Everyone, especially Changsheng and Yuru, is startled by this explosion while Kingshuan and Shui are worried for Beiming. Changsheng was so mad while asking Gii Mountain what he did to Beiming. It's nothing. I heard that Chen Beiming was collecting blood of the monsters, so together with a few monsters, we just put something in the blood. Gii Mountain answered. Shui and Kingshuan were so mad and called Gii Mountain evil. Gii Mountain doesn't feel guilty at all and even proudly says that he is involved with a couple of monsters and these monsters agree to his plan and do everything to help him destroy Beiming. Kingshuan and Yuru were confused as to how Gii Mountain forced these monsters knowing that they were all from the demon city of Beiming's new city. These monsters mentioned the Lei family and Gii Mountain then informed everyone that he was not there on behalf of the Black Pagoda but instead for the Lei family. He commanded everyone to surrender without opposing resistance and if these people disobeyed him, he was willing to send them to meet Yama, the king of the underworld. Mei-ru is asking her father about the Lei family that Gii Mountain is referring to, and as per Ganjun, Gii Mountain probably talking about the Lei family of the Star League which is first-rate family with several hunters of emperor rank, and neither the power nor the background is something that their Mei family can't afford. Mei-ru was thinking of what they should do now but Ganjun advised her that they should watch the changes first. If the Lei family has the upper hand, they will temporarily turn the side and destroy the new city together with the Lei family. Then they will try to marry the Lei family. In this way, he believes that there's no need to work on the future of their Mei family. Mei-ru was annoyed since her father was talking about marriage again and now with the Lei family instead of the Gu family. At this moment, she saw Changsheng bravely face Gii Mountain with anger knowing that Gii Mountain wanted them to be slaves. Changsheng called Gii Mountain an abandoned son of the Lei family which caused the Wolf King behind Gii Mountain to be mad as he didn't like how Changsheng insulted Gii Mountain. Gii Mountain then told him not to talk to Changsheng. And today, Gii Mountain appointed him as the one who should care for the Lei family and those who don't respect his Lei family will be eliminated by this Wolf King. The Wolf King then promised that he would not disappoint Gii Mountain. He called his brother and they both dashed towards Changsheng with killing intent. Du Boi and Jui Tang immediately told Changsheng to go away from where he was standing, and even Mei-ru felt nervous and screamed to tell Changsheng to be careful. Her father was shocked to see her care about Changsheng. Surprisingly, someone aimed arrows at these wolves. It turned out that it was Beiming and he said that a little trick can't work on him. Upon seeing Beiming appear here at Gii Mansion, Gii Mountain was surprised as he thought that Beiming was already gone. Beiming was standing fearlessly while clenching both of his fists, and the wolf who sabotaged Beiming's plan could not believe that Beiming was still since he did the right thing, mixing all kinds of ingredients into the blood that he sent to Beiming which he believes that it will be impossible for Beiming to be alive. Since Beiming is still alive, he concludes that Beiming found out that something was wrong with the blood. Mixing medicinal ingredients makes the blood impure. I have to thank you for making me know that, Beiming stated. He held the Wolf King's shoulder and said that he was still worrying about what went wrong in refining the 100 Beasts pills that caused the failure. Fortunately, what the Wolf King mixed allowed him to successfully refine the pills with its key which appeared to be not bad. By this, Beiming is very thankful to the Wolf King. You're welcome. The welcome replied and Gii Mountain was so furious at him as he suddenly became polite to Beiming. The wolves then said that even though Beiming is tough, they're not his opponent. In addition, even the Mei family of the Star Alliance can't beat Beiming so they can only get the head away. Gii Mountain was confused as he never expected the Mei family to be a member of the Star Alliance. Never heard of it. There are thousands of Star Alliance families. Don't you say if the Mei family is cheating under the name of the Star Alliance. Even the Star Alliance, it's probably a fake one, he added, which annoyed Ganjun as he felt insulted. At this moment, Gii Mountain possessed his power and said that he'd Beiming his real power. His power creates a dazzling light, and there's something that suddenly bumps into Gu's mansion. Everyone was startled by it and when the smoke disappeared, they saw a ship above them. Changsheng was so shocked while he uttered that it was a battleship. As per Ganjun, this ship is the latest generation of Star Alliance's main battleship, and its power is 10 times stronger than the one they have. One thing he noticed is that this battleship had been hidden for a long time and their family didn't even know that it was really at the Star Alliance main. He believes that if this battleship were to launch an attack, the consequences would be unthinkable. On the other hand, Beiming still has the guts to slightly smile upon seeing this ship since he was worried about not having the right materials to transform the Mei family's airship. And now this newest battleship appeared will be enough to create a powerful one. Beiming doesn't even feel frightened at all, but instead, he is too challenged and excited to see the power of this latest battleship. At the same time, Gii Mountain asked the two wolves behind him if the Mei family had this kind of airship, and the Wolf King answered that they had seen a similar one but didn't have the domineering style of Lei. At this moment, Gii Mountain then greeted Beiming. Beiming then glanced at him and he confidently told Beiming that he couldn't surrender now unless he would hand over all the treasures from the ruins. "Is this battleship your last support?" Beiming asked. Gii Mountain answers that he also has the people of the Lei family and these monsters in the Demon King realm. With all these, he believes that it'll be enough to deal with Chen Beiming. Demon beasts. Interesting, Beiming uttered while getting a pill and swallowing it. The Wolf King was shocked since the smell of the pill was very family to him. Beiming's eyes transformed into a red one and he bravely stood with a more powerful aura. It turned out that the pill he swallowed is made up of an ancient demon beast. The wolf becomes more scared of him, and Beiming this time possesses a flame power and attacks the wolves. The wolves panicked and Beiming seemed to be controlling them. These wolves suddenly kneeled and the Wolf King was so confused thinking why he suddenly fell down on his knees. The city lord took some medicines and suddenly the breath of an ancient beast broke out. Could it be that there is something mysterious in it? He uttered. The wolf behind him explained that they are all Demon King realm cultivation base anyhow, except for the monster beasts of higher cultivation base, so he was wondering who is the one who made them kneel and wants to surrender. He then concludes that Beiming, a human being, becomes an ancient demon emperor after taking the pill. Beiming raised his finger and pointed it to the wolves while making a signal to get down. The wolves were being controlled and they could not even move their whole body even if they wanted to. Beiming smiled while thinking that he didn't think 100 beast pill that was regarded as a chicken rib by the Star Alliance could completely suppress the demon beasts without even fighting them. He then teases Gii Mountain by telling him that his Demon King real monsters are now useless. Gii Mountain felt insulted by what Beiming said. He clenched his fist out of annoyance while telling Beiming not to be so proud of himself. In addition, he believes that Beiming couldn't defeat his bunch of people. He then gets a radio communication and gives an order to someone whom he called a cousin to use and let Beiming see the power of their battleship. His cousin wearing a mask then agreed and immediately activated the cannons in their battleship. Seeing this makes Ganjin panic, knowing that with this battleship's power, once the gun has fired, the entire city will be destroyed. There is also a defensive barrier that covers Gii Mountain and his men. He guffaws and says that this is the result of fighting against his Lei family. He's also confident that with this defensive barrier, the cannon would not hurt them and he can just enjoy watching Beiming die in this best stand of him. "Oh, do you think this young man will give you a chance to shoot?" Beiming replied. He then activates the bronze statue of the white tiger, and this tiger goes towards the enemy's battleship while roaring. The moment it attacked the enemy's battleship, it created a huge bang and Gii Mountain became dumbfounded. Their battleship is swinging and the pilot inside reported that they were being attacked by an unknown object. While Gii Mountain was holding his radio communication, he heard his men say that it was a tiger made of jade and bronze, and is currently on the hull, which makes them unable to attack. Gii Mountain was furious at Beiming and he believed that the tiger his men mentioned was the bronze beast statue they saw in the ruins of Emperor Hunter. One thing that makes him confused is why this beast suddenly moved and became alive when in fact, it was only a statue when they saw it in the ruin. He turned his head behind as he heard someone come while telling Gii Mountain, "Look at what you did. This is the indigenous city without any defense that you were talking about." This man came out from the battleship and was covered by a barrier, but it disappeared the moment he landed on the ground. It was the man Gii Mountain called his cousin named Lei Tang and is now walking towards him. Lei Tang positioned himself in front of Gii Mountain and their other man. "Because of your carelessness, the Tangting Lei family lost to a group of natives. After returning, I want to see how you explain to the patriarch," he said while facing Gii Mountain. Gii Mountain then apologizes to him and promises that he will give an explanation to his Lei family once they get back. Lei Tang was alarmed after Beiming asked them if they really thought they could get out of this new city alive. "Let's see if you can stop me," he replied while showing something to Beiming, which made Beiming think that it was an explosion, so he immediately warned everyone. Lei Tang slammed these round things on the floor and it created a smoke. Beiming and Cheng Sheng slightly covered their faces with their hands while looking at the men from the Lei family. But then, in an instant, their enemy disappeared. At this time, Ganjin offered Beiming to send some of his men to chase those people. Beiming then slightly smiled and said that it seemed the Mei family wouldn't come back for a while. Beiming closes his eyes and slowly gets back to his human form. Yuru then called him and the lady asked what he should do with these wolves who betrayed them. But Beiming doesn't have any plans to kill them. Instead, he tells the old fox that these wolves will be sent back to him, and from now on, he should investigate the beast city again to see if there are any demon beasts that intend to rebel. In addition, Beiming informed the elders that it is important for them to transform the Mei family's battleship, so he wanted these old men to ask someone of their men to collect the remains and spare parts of the Lei family's battleship as soon as possible. After the commotion, Shuyi and Kingshuan then went to Beiming to ask if he was fine. "I'm okay. Even if you ask me to make a kid right away, it's fine," Beiming answered to Kingshuan. Everyone heard what he said and Cheng Sheng with Yuru feels awkward. Beiming and Kingshuan were thrilled and Beiming was about to take back what he just said but he was already stuttering. He then coughed and just said that he had something important to say. He informed everyone that he needed to leave and do some important errands. Shuyi was curious as to where he planned to go, so she asked Beiming herself. And Beiming then answered that he would go to the Gii Mountain for some important errand. A few days later, Beiming arrived at the Gii Mountain using an airship. He was together with the demon envoys and they were impressed that they came back to their mountain in just a few hours since it took several months for them to walk from this mountain to the new city. Beiming is the one driving the airship and he's also together with the Lady Spider. The Lady Spider approaches Beiming but before she can say a word, Beiming instantly answers that he can also feel it. He feels that this place is full of the aura of an emperor-rank demon with a bloodline suppression that is more than 1.5 times stronger than them. Because of this, he told everyone to be careful and vigilant if they didn't want to get buried here. For now, he was wondering what Gii Mountain did to get angry with the Star Alliance, but he's confident that he will soon figure it out and find a chance to hit the Star Alliance. After a while, they landed in the mountain and Beiming cleaned his hands after hiding their airship on the grass. If we fly to Gii Mountain with a big aircraft, we'll be swept up by those who hate Human Hunter, even before we see the old demon emperor, Beiming uttered. Chen Beiming is the one who made the ship and the Lady Spider doesn't understand why it looks like a spider with the name Little Worm. It takes some time for Beiming to answer since he can't say that the aircraft in his previous life was called by this name. Although it is a lot better than the Mei family's battleships, it's a long way off from the previous Little Worms, which had the most advanced technology in the Star Alliance. He smiled as he decided to just play around instead of saying the truth. This time, he told that Lady Spider that the airship's name was just chosen randomly. As for making it look like a spider, he said that it's because he personally loves spiders, no other reasons. Upon hearing Beiming's answer, the Lady Spider was thrilled since she's also a spider. All of a sudden, the old fox rushed towards Beiming while screaming Beiming's name. According to him, he asked the demon envoy just now and they said that there are many temples on the mountain, and they can arrange for them to stay on this mountain first. Once they meet the old demon emperor, they will personally lead them over to him as per the old fox. If this is the case, then the demon envoy will lead us the way. Beiming answered with excitement. They started walking, heading to the upper part of the mountain. After a few minutes of walking, a beast suddenly blocked their way. Beiming was staring at it with a shocked face. It was the antelope demon, telling them that Gii Mountain was a sacred place that outsiders weren't allowed to enter. This demon asked them who let them go to this place, and he wanted Beiming and the others to leave the mountain as soon as possible. As what the Lady Spider sees, these monsters were all at the general level, and since there were a lot of them, she asked Beiming to be careful. Demon envoy, who is this sheep? How dare he stop us? The old fox said. The head envoy is humming and answers that this antelope demon is also the brother-in-law of the old demon emperor. He also informed the old fox that these demons are stronger than them, so they often trouble them. How many brothers-in-law does the demon emperor have? How much did the demon emperor have to work for having so many children? The old fox replied. Beiming at this point was thinking about the ancient Geo people who could not do what the demon emperor did. And now, he was wondering if the demon emperor could do it only because he was just a pig demon beast. Antelope demon, what are you going to do? I am here to bring reinforcement on the orders of the old demon emperor. They are all distinguished guests who come to help. Let us go quickly. The head envoy said. It's a waste of words. I'm not going to let this monster go. And you guests, let this demon take a look at what you're bringing. An old king. Oh, there is also a little spider of warlord level. WST, they are all waste. The antelope demon answered angrily. Beiming was staring at him with anger and the antelope then noticed something about him. A part of him believes that Beiming is a hunter. Beiming was surprised how this antelope recognized him at a glance. A bunch of stupid pigs. The old demon asked you to bring monsters here. How did you bring a hunter? Knowing that Gii Mountain is off limits, you're trying to rebel. The antelope said to the pigs. The head envoy then answered that the new city lord, Chen Beiming, is not a hunter but is also a demon king who can only transform into a human. Unfortunately, the antelope didn't believe him and mercilessly smacked him in the face, causing him to spit blood and fall on the ground. The antelope accuses him of thinking that this antelope is a 3-year-old who doesn't know that only the demon emperor ranks monsters can have a perfect human form. He also belittled Beiming by telling the pig that Beiming cannot do anything with a king-level cultivation. By this, he believes that these pigs were just looking for an excuse for a rebellion. He then ordered the other monsters to take all the pigs and the outsiders. And at this moment, the head envoy feels insulted and wants to fight back, but Beiming blocks him while saying to the antelope that it will be a waste of breath for the demon envoy to explain everything to him. Beiming then asked what the antelope wanted. The antelope then answered that either Beiming shows evidence that he's indeed a monster or die. It is said that the hunger the hunter's cultivation, the better their meat tastes. This demon master doesn't mind having a banquet tonight. He added as he was very confident that Beiming is really a hunter. Beiming this time transforms his body and possesses his power. Do you want to eat me? I think you are tired of living, he said. Because of this, the antelope senses the anger of the ancient beast and now concludes that Beiming might be a descendant of an ancient demon emperor. A general-level stupid beast dared to make trouble in front of this king, Beiming uttered while dashing towards the antelope demon. He then punched it with great force and the antelope instantly fell to the ground in just one hit from Beiming. Beiming then said that he would spare this antelope's life since he was also a relative of the old demon emperor. He also told the antelope that there was another time and not to blame him for not giving face. Roll now, he uttered. After that, he then asked the head envoy to continue leading the way going to the upper part of the mountain. They walked away leaving the antelope speechless and the head envoy was staring at him without any words. Meanwhile, they arrived at the Gii Mountain's temple, and as soon as they entered, they saw a gigantic beast statue. This statue caught Beiming's attention and he instantly asked the demon envoy what beast this statue was. While asking, he called the head envoy a demon, so the head envoy said that there's no need for Beiming to call him a demon since Beiming taught that hateful antelope a good lesson, and now, he decided to be Beiming's brother from now on. According to him, he doesn't know what beast this statue is. But then, he heard that when the old demon emperor discovered this place, the statue was already there. Although he doesn't know what it is, it's still a symbol of power and nobody dares to look down. Beiming at the same time heard that some ancient kingdoms would worship the demon beasts as gods. And Mount Gii is another ancient ruin that was hollowed out. Because of what he recalls, he comes to the conclusion that this statue might be a beast god from ancient times. While he was thinking, the head envoy informed Beiming that the old demon emperor wouldn't be seen until a few days, so he would take Beiming to rest first. And then he would take Beiming to see the old demon emperor soon. In the middle of the night, someone is spying on the temple. As expected, it was the antelope demon with his subordinates. One antelope asked the head antelope what they should do, but the head only uttered, still not giving the old demon king face. Wait and see, when you meet the old demon emperor, he will definitely take good care of them. Inside the temple, Beiming, the old fox, and the lady spider are having a bonfire while resting. The old fox was so glad that they would have some rest now after a long trip. He also told Beiming that the old demon emperor might not let them go easily for offending one of his brothers-in-law. He concludes that there will surely be many demon kings and demon emperors at that time. He was afraid that the old demon emperor will deliberately harm them. Beiming at this point didn't give any response and he was too silent, so the lady spider asked what was wrong. Beiming answered nothing as he was just considering either to prepare more trump cards in case of accidents. Both the old fox and the spider were confused, so the old fox asked Beiming what trump card it was. Beiming then explained that if they want to deal with the monsters here, the more trump cards they prepare, the better it is for them, but he is a little bit hesitant to prepare some trump cards at this stage. The lady spider suggested using poison as their trump card, but Beiming disagreed. Although these tricks can save their lives for some time, for him, it is not enough to deter these ferocious monsters. The old fox suggested a spell and Beiming still disagreed and explained that a spell is directly linked to the cultivation base. According to him, the spell made with the cultivation of a general level wouldn't even hurt a king realm demon beast, let alone the demon emperor. Beiming wanted to break through first to make spells, but he didn't have enough materials, so he was thinking of a way. One thing that suddenly comes to his mind, and that is the alchemy. He then told both beasts with him that they would use the Buddha Fire Lotus as their trump card. The old fox and the lady spider were both clueless as they never heard about this Buddha fire lotus. Although the requirements for soul fire are harsh, it is no less than 100 times better than alchemy and talisman because it can condense an exercise method into it to achieve both offensive and defensive effects. When Beiming entered the Star Alliance in his previous life, he was at the pinnacle of the hunting emperor realm, and he didn't like this kind of technique like a magic weapon, so he forgot it for a while. Unfortunately, his soul power is not enough, but he has the fire of purgatory to replace it, which is also 1,000 times stronger. He believes that the fire of purgatory combined with the Buddha lotus should be able to hurt the demon emperor. He activates the proverbs of the 9 emperors, and the lady spider ratted while asking what he was doing. Beiming didn't give any response as he was focusing on himself. An azure light still surrounds him and seems like he is trying to possess something. It was a tiny thing that looked like electrocution. Condense, he uttered. He closed his eyes and instantly opened it and started refining. The old fox and the lady spider are worried that he might put himself in danger. But then, Beiming was able to refine it and make a lotus from the fire purgatory. The old fox was surprised upon seeing it, and Beiming then said that he was unexpectedly able to condense the Buddha lotus fire on the first try. But it still feels that it's not enough to integrate the 9 emperor proverbs for him. He then smiled and said that he would now try the power of this Buddha lotus. As he activates it, it creates a blinding light, and both the lady spider and the old fox complain that they can't see anything. The power that comes from the Buddha lotus suddenly becomes a straight line and strikes the temple's roof. Up until now, the lady is still worried for Beiming, knowing that this is the first time Beiming used this lotus. Beiming then told her to calm down, and he assured the spider that he was perfectly fine. As per Beiming, despite the fact that the Buddha lotus is very noisy, its destructive power isn't enough and still needs something to adjust. He believed that this Buddha lotus made with a cultivation base of general level should be enough, so he decided to do more during this period in case anything happened. 3 days later, the room where Beiming and the 2 monsters stayed already had a lot of Buddha lotus that was made by Beiming. He made these many lotus within 3 days and 3 nights without sleeping. He's exhausted most of his soul power, but he condensed many Buddha lotus, and one is better than the others. He instructed both the old fox and the lady spider to just put these lotus on their faces once they ran into anyone who dared to trouble them. After finishing making all these lotus, Beiming went to the old demon emperor's mansion together with the demon envoy and the old fox. "Brother Beiming, here we are. I will take you to meet the old demon emperor," the head envoy said. "Okay, let's go," Beiming answered. They went to the oath banquet of the demons and saw several kinds of monsters inside enjoying eating some meat. The head envoy gave Beiming a seat and a table and instructed him to wait for the banquet to start so he could be able to see the old demon emperor. While they were sitting, they saw the antelope sitting in front of them. The old fox points his finger at these antelopes, and the demon envoy tells Beiming that next to the antelope demon he beat up when they came here is the uncle of the antelope demon and the strongest one of all the antelopes. He then warns Beiming to be careful, knowing that these antelopes are very vengeful, so he is sure enough that the antelopes want revenge against Beiming. At this moment, the banquet is about to begin and the signal is heard by everyone. Beiming then glanced at the entrance and waited for the old demon emperor to appear. The moment the old demon emperor enters, he slams his stick on the ground to make all monsters to be silent. He is a short old man that has a human form, and behind him are his 2 faceless subordinates. This is the first time the old fox sees this old demon emperor, and he says that if nothing said that this was the old demon emperor, he would have thought that this old demon was just a normal old man. He was so curious to know what race this old demon emperor is, so he asked Beiming about it, hoping that Beiming can be able to see it. But then, as per Beiming, he can't, since the old demon emperor's human form is perfect without leaving any trace. To have such a perfect human form, he knows that even some ancient demon emperor couldn't do it, so he's afraid that this old demon emperor is not easy to deal with. During this time, the old demon emperor spoke and asked everyone to get up. He declared that he had summoned everyone to discuss an important matter concerning the future of all the demons. Before he could continue his speech, the antelope interrupted him and asked for a few minutes to say something. The old demon emperor then asked him what was the matter. "Since we are discussing about the future of the demons, having a hunter here is inappropriate, don't you think so?" The antelope answered. The other monsters were shocked and were all greedy to see the hunter that this antelope mentioned. The old fox felt nervous at this moment, and he knew that the antelope would do everything to get revenge on Beiming. Beiming didn't respond as he was waiting for the old demon emperor's answer. "Antelope demon, you said there's a hunter here, so tell me where he is now," the old demon emperor said. The old demon emperor does not need to hurry, I will get him out. The antelope answered. He then pointed at Beiming and declared that it was Beiming who was a hunter. Luckily, the demon envoy interfered and said that it was just a misunderstanding. He explained to everyone that Chen Beiming is a city lord and is also a demon hiding in a human form. He also added that the antelope demon already witnessed how Beiming transformed into a monster. The antelope then proclaimed that the demon envoy was just lying, as he really believed that Beiming was only using tricks on them. For him, it's better if Beiming lets him show his true form on the spot and prove his innocence. He wants Beiming to do it in front of everyone, and if Beiming can confirm that he is truly a demon, the antelope is willing to apologize to him sincerely. The monsters were murmuring their different perspectives. Some say that it's taboo to let the transformed demons show their true bodies. For them, the antelope demon had made it clear that Beiming was insulting him. Others also stated that it's a shame to be forced to show their true body, but if Beiming doesn't, they will consider that he's really a hunter. In addition, numerous hunters also uttered that the antelope demon has an intimate relation with the old demon, so he will not apologize sincerely, and showing Beiming his true form is equivalent to revealing his weakness, and they believe he will definitely be targeted in the future. At this moment, the antelope demon is waiting for him to prove himself in front of the old demon emperor. If Beiming is a hunter, he believes that it will make their family more prestigious in Gii Mountain after killing him. He was very determined to find out Beiming's weaknesses and kill him in an instant. Instead of transforming into a demon, Beiming laughed and asked the old demon emperor if this is how his Gii Mountain demons treated their guests. Your subordinates have bullied me and now you want to turn a blind eye. He added, as per the old demon emperor, their Gii Mountain has always been hospitable, and since someone is suspicious, he wants Beiming to just prove it so everyone will be happy and no more conflicts at all. Beiming this time can say that the old demon emperor's statement is superficially sounding, but actually, he is partial to sheep. He originally wanted to take advantage of the Gii Mountain's name to fight him, but now he realizes that it wasn't really a good thing. Unexpectedly, the antelope activates his power and challenges Beiming to have a battle and show what kind of monster he is. If you don't want to show your true body, this lord will help you, he said while dashing towards Beiming. He then strikes a punch to Beiming with a strong force, but Beiming disappears as he slides backward to avoid the fist of this antelope. Now, he confirms that this antelope is really strong with a power comparable to a king-level demon beast. After dealing one attack, the antelope demon declares that Beiming's strength is not so good, but he's quite fast to run away. He started summoning a weapon, and when it became visible, it turned out that it was a soul-shattering trident. He then said that it doesn't matter how fast Beiming is, as he believes that Beiming will not be able to survive with his soul-shattering trident. The demon envoy was shocked knowing that this weapon was the bloodline of the antelope family. Once injured by this trident, both the body and soul will be shattered. Upon hearing it, Beiming's subordinates warned him to be careful. This time, the antelope demon strikes and attacks Beiming using the soul-shattering trident that creates a purple powerful flame. Beiming slightly smiled and immediately possessed the proverbs of the 9 emperors. He then used it and blocked the antelope's trident. The antelope demon was dumbfounded after seeing Beiming easily block his weapon. Even the old demon emperor wondered what this technique that Beiming currently used. The wolves were curious about this technique, and since this was the first time they saw this kind of skill, they concluded that Beiming might really be a hunter. A lot of comments were heard by the old demon emperor, stating that Beiming is really a hunter. They were all scared, and some said that their Gii Mountain was not guarded well enough. Despite what they said, the old demon emperor was still hesitant to believe that Beiming was a hunter, since he felt that the trace of demons on Beiming was not something that humans could fake. Nevertheless, Beiming's technique is really strange for him. He was trembling while holding his stick tight and wondered what the origin of Beiming was. Since Beiming easily blocked the trident of the antelope demon accepted the fact that he looked down on Beiming at first. But if you think a little trick can defeat me, you are wrong. Now watch my true strength, he uttered, and seeing his next move made the demon envoy and the old fox terrified. Shockingly, this antelope demon becomes gigantic and is standing fearlessly in front of Beiming while asking what Beiming can do this time. Beiming stood bravely and calmly while clenching his fist. He was staring up above, but he was interrupted when the old fox asked him how this antelope became so big all of a sudden. He is not a fool at all, Beiming said. Little beast, today is your death day. The antelope demon uttered and tried to punch Beiming with his huge fist. Beiming managed to jump away and run, but the antelope demon won't let him escape and was about to hit him with his gigantic foot. Fortunately, Beiming was able to activate his proverbs of the 9 emperors on time. Before the antelope demon stomped on him, he successfully created a durable shield which made the old demon emperor more surprised. Still not showing your true body, don't you dare, or does it mean you are not a demon beast? The antelope stated. A little sheep demon is not worthy to see my true body. Beiming answered. Little beast, what else you can do besides being able to hold the soul-shattering trident? Do you dare to speak arrogantly? Whether you are a human or demon, today this lord will roast you into coke. The antelope demon added while activating his flame. Since you are so tired of living, I'll be kind enough to send you to hell today. Beiming responded and immediately summoned the Buddha lotus. Even with this technique, the old demon emperor is clueless and is curious to see its power. Beiming holds the Buddha lotus and raises it above to suck the fire from the antelope demon. The antelope was shocked at how Beiming made it while Beiming told him that this fire and the owner were both useless. Beiming then bounced back the fire to the antelope and the antelope was flaming while screaming in agony. He screamed so loud and asked for some help from his uncle antelope, but even his uncle antelope couldn't do anything and only stared at him on the ground, suffering in pain. After just a few seconds, the antelope demon disappeared and the monsters around couldn't believe that the antelope demon was lost to a demon king realm. With Beiming's Buddha lotus and strength, they still believe that Beiming is clearly a hunter. On the other hand, the uncle of the antelopes is asking the old demon emperor to make justice for the dead. He is clearly a hunter. He must have had a plan when he came to Gii Mountain. We should kill him right now. He added, outsider, what do you say? If I'm correct, that Buddha lotus is not a demon technique, right? Are you a hunter? The old demon emperor asked to Beiming. And Beiming smirked and didn't give an instant answer. While staring at him, the uncle antelope thinks that he can easily get rid of Beiming with the support of the old demon emperor. But for now, he wants to see more tricks that Beiming has. At the same time, the old demon emperor is really sure that the Buddha lotus Beiming used is indeed not a demon technique. Beiming then told him that it was a special technique of an ancient Buddhist sect passed down to his ancestors by the Buddha monarch. Although not completely integrated into the bloodline, as long as their clan continues for 3 or 4 generations, it will definitely become a part of their blood, says Beiming. The old demon emperor was confused not until the wolf with them stated that he had seen in ancient books that the bloodline of the ancient demon beast was 100 times more powerful than what they had, and even practiced using techniques of human hunters. Upon hearing him, some conclude that Beiming is a descendant of an ancient demon beast. It turns out that City Lord Beiming is a descendant of ancient demon beasts. You should have said it early so that you wouldn't have fought with the antelope demon. The demon envoy uttered. The master has always been low profile, and this kind of thing is inconvenient to tell to the others. The lady spider replied and the old fox agreed with her. But the real is, they both also found it out now. This time, the uncle antelope is telling the old demon emperor not to believe Beiming as he believes that Beiming is talking nonsense. The old emperor coughed and believed that Beiming had ancient demon blood and was also a gift of the Buddha. He doesn't want to be disrespectful, but he asked Beiming if he could take the liberty to ask who's the ancestor of Beiming. Beiming then politely answered that one of his ancestors listened to the truth of ancient Buddhism and practiced with the guidance of a Buddha monarch who was blessed by Lord Buddha for 200 years and learned a lot. The old demon emperor becomes more interested after hearing the truth of ancient Buddhism from Beiming. All of a sudden, he felt weak and almost fell, but his subordinate held him tight. Beiming then added that not only the Buddha lotus and the 9 proverbs, as well as alchemy and other techniques are all passed down by Buddha. The old demon emperor was stuttering while asking if Beiming really knew alchemy. One wolf then said that there aren't many demons who know alchemy and ruins. At the same time, the demon envoy was impressed by Beiming and he said that Beiming is worthy of being a descendant of an ancient beast. City Lord Beiming is so powerful. What kind of monster is he? He asked to the old fox, and the old fox apologized and reasoned out that he could not talk casually. He felt nervous the moment he saw the old demon emperor holding some treasure and something was talking from inside of it, asking the old demon emperor what he needed. Nothing important. I just want to know if you ever heard about this ancient demon beast. The old demon answered. What? The beast of the ancient Buddha sect. Why are you asking me all this? The treasure asked. The old demon emperor then said that he just suddenly heard about this ancient demon beast and he wanted to make sure if this ancient demon beast was good in hunter's techniques and alchemy. As for the treasure, he is not sure. What he knows is that the ancient demon beast was a good beast, so he should be able to practice the human techniques. After getting these answers from the treasure this old demon emperor was holding, he finally believes that Beiming is really a descendant of a demon who listened to the truth of Buddhism. The uncle of Antelope panicked and forced the old demon emperor not to listen to Beiming. What he believes is that Beiming fabricated everything out of nowhere. He even asked the old demon emperor to quickly kill Beiming on the spot, but the old demon emperor was mad at him for saying much and giving an order like he was the head. Since the uncle of the antelope is calling him brother-in-law, he said that he didn't allow him to call this and that they are not close enough to call him that way. The old demon emperor also added that this uncle of the antelope should be the one to be blamed, and even honestly told him that his skills were also not good. The uncle of the antelope was shocked and trembled in fear and anger seeing this old demon emperor really believe in being. We are about to discuss important matters, and you are not qualified to participate. Better if you leave, he added, and the uncle of the antelope accepted his order as he wished. Does this old man make the little brother laugh? The old demon emperor asked to Beiming. Beiming smiled as he answered no and said that he just wondered what is the so-called important matter that this old demon emperor mentioned. Beiming was surprised the moment he heard the old demon emperor answer that he intended to go to the Valley of the Burial Gods to fight the Star Alliance. While Beiming is standing still, he hears the wolves behind him stating that the Burial Valley of Gods is a dangerous place where even the animals don't dare to go. There are a lot of poisons everywhere. At this point, they were afraid, thinking that the old demon emperor was just finding an excuse to kill them all. Beiming is not afraid of poison at all as he has a pill for that. But then, he is more concerned about how these demons will fight the Star Alliance. Beiming believes that with the current power of the Star Alliance, not to mention general rank demons, they can easily deal with the Emperor rank beast, and he believes that the old demon emperor should be very clear about this, so he wondered about what's the main reason why this old demon emperor wanted to fight against the Star Alliance. Another thing is he wondered if there could be a stronger beast behind this old demon emperor backing him. The old demon emperor slammed his stick on the floor once more and asked everyone to be silent. He said that these monsters under him are all general level beasts, so there shouldn't be any reason for them to be afraid with just a little bit of poison. Although there is nothing good about the Burial Valley of Gods, it is related to the future of the demons in the ancient ruins. To make it clear to all of you, this is an order from the Emperor King Shi, he added, and upon hearing the Emperor King Shi, every one of them was terrified. Does any one of you still have something to say? The old emperor asked, and his red eyes this time were clearly visible. On the other hand, Beiming confirmed now that this old demon emperor is backed by a strong person, and it is still of the emperor realm, which is Emperor King Shi that he mentioned. Although Beiming has come in contact with many demon emperors in his previous life, this Emperor King Shi is unheard of. At this moment, the old fox asked the origin of Emperor King Shi, and the demon emperor answered that he only knew that all the demons of the Gii Mountain surrendered to Emperor King Shi. But then, nobody has ever seen him. Since it's an order of Emperor King Shi, I would not dare to disobey it. My intention was just to know what exactly the Emperor wants us to do. The tiger said. He kneeled together with the other monsters and declared that he would go to the Burial Valley, but he wanted the old demon emperor to make it clear to them. As per the old demon emperor, according to the King Shi emperor, their Gii Mountain will fight together with his forces. The Burial Valley of Gods has been divided into 13 areas, and their task is to defend the 9th area to prevent it from falling into the enemy's hands. While he was explaining, Beiming was listening carefully to him. Some monsters were worried as they thought that it was just a mission, and in addition, it wouldn't be easy for them to defend the 9th area. All of a sudden, Beiming guffaws and says that he wants to go to defend the 9th area as he's afraid that it won't be easy for these monsters without him. The tiger was annoyed as he felt that Beiming belittled them. Brother, why are you laughing? You are a descendant of an ancient beast. With knowledge of the Buddha sect, you must know a lot about the hunters. So if you want to say something, say it clearly. The old demon emperor said to Beiming. Just talking about it, I'm afraid you won't understand it. It happens that I have something here that I got accidentally from the people of the Star Alliance. Beiming answered while summoning the black gold weapon he made from the black gold mech of the people from the Star Alliance. In addition to cultivation techniques and rare treasures, he told the old demon emperor that there is another thing that the Star Alliance is proud of. The old demon emperor and the monsters were all surprised to see this weapon Beiming had. Beiming then shot above and was able to hit the top part of the mountain and ended up being destroyed. Because of how strong the explosion was, the monsters were now afraid. As per Beiming, besides the black gold mech, the Star Alliance has countless battleships, equipped with weapons 100 times more powerful. And with all these, he asked the old demon emperor if he still had the confidence to defend the 9th area. Before the old demon emperor could answer, one monster screamed to inform everyone that their young miss had arrived. The young miss he means is riding to a white-brown crane, and while she's still above, Beiming is staring at her and he is curious to meet this lady. This young miss landed on the ground in front of Beiming and the old demon emperor. Beiming then observes that even strong demons are afraid of this lady. In addition, he had never seen someone like this lady in her previous life and didn't expect to meet her in Gii Mountain. This lady is now in Liulai with her uncle named Lao Hebai. Beiming can clearly see that Liulai's cultivation level is at the peak of the Emperor realm. As what he recalled from his past, that is according to the elders of the Star Alliance, Lao Hebai could already fight against the late Emperor realm. "It's okay, Uncle Lao Hebai," the lady said. Upon hearing this word from her, Lao Hebai then transformed into a human form with a beast face. Hen then gave thanks to the lady for giving him permission to be in his normal form. Beiming was so confused at this point as he could feel that Liulai was clearly a human, but a part of him said that this lady was also a demon beast who transformed into a human form. What makes him confused is the fact that there are no traces of demons on Liulai. Even her breath is normal, so Beiming cannot say if Liulai is a demon beast or a human. He was staring for too long at the lady, so the old demon emperor stopped him from doing it and explained that Gii was the jewel in the palm of the Kingshi emperor. Other than that, Beiming should be careful. Otherwise, the Crane Emperor will poach his eyes, according to the old demon emperor. This old man welcomes the young miss and asks her to forgive my sins. The young miss came suddenly and we weren't prepared to receive her. "I wonder what business does the young missus here?" the old emperor asked to the lady. But then, the crane becomes mad at him and tells him that it's none of his business where Liulai goes and what she does. "Don't be angry, Uncle Lao," the old demon emperor just asked it casually. Liulai said to Lao Hebai. This time, she informed the old demon emperor why she came here. First is to gain experience, and the other is to know how the old demon emperor preparing for the burial valley of gods. The old demon emperor was stuttering as he told the lady that they now start any time. At the same time, Lao Hebai warned the lady not to expect anything from the old demon emperor and his subordinates. He also gave an opinion that it's better if the miss leads these monsters and saves the time lost. Gii then tells him not to worry as she believes that the old demon emperor is prepared as what he said. "We are ready for a long ago, right, army chief?" the old demon emperor answered while staring at Beiming. He called Beiming as an army chief, which confused Beiming for a moment. Even the old fox and the lady spider were shocked since the old demon emperor never told Beiming about it. Other than them, the demons were also frightened as they never trusted Beiming at all. On the other hand, Beiming was so annoyed since his original purpose here was to unite the forces with demons to fight the Star Alliance. But now, it seems this matter has taken the wrong way. At this point, the old demon emperor explained to Liulai that Beiming was a descendant of an ancient beast who listened to the truth of Buddhism. He was very confident as he added that Beiming knew a lot of secrets of hunters, and he believed that once Beiming led them in the battle, they would surely accomplish the task assigned by Emperor Kingshi. Lao Hebai said that he had never heard of Beiming even before, but since the old demon emperor talked so highly of Beiming, he believed that Beiming should be skilled enough to help them. "Then let this emperor what you can do. Take a look at my sword," he said while summoning his sword and attacking it towards Beiming. Beiming immediately possessed another Buddha Fire Lotus and activated it to make a shield and defend himself. Seeing Beiming at a fast speed to block Lao Hebai's attack makes this crane accept the fact that he underestimated Beiming. "Lao Hebai, this is Gii Mountain, not your crane slave valley. This old man respects you, but it doesn't mean I'm afraid of you. If you dare to hurt the guests of the Gii Mountain, don't blame me for being rude," the old demon emperor said. Lao Hebai felt insulted upon hearing from the old demon emperor called him a crane. He then said that this lotus that Beiming just released was clearly a hunter technique, and it was unheard of that a king realm demon could have such a perfect body. And he said that the old demon emperor is trying to rebel for hiding Beiming's true identity. Li Bai becomes silent as she concludes that it might be Beiming, the hunter that his father always talks about. The old demon emperor laughed loudly and said that the crane Lao Hebai was ignorant for saying that Beiming was a hunter. Lao Hebai then told him that there was no problem if he still denied it. But now, he's very determined to show this old demon emperor if Beiming is a human or a demon. He then activates his Burning Heaven sword, and Beiming is surprised to see this skill coming from a crane. At this moment, the old demon emperor is asking Lao Hebai to stop what he is doing. Since Lao Hebai won't listen, he is forced to possess his own power and activates his 8 desolate god bone, then attacks to Lao Hebai. "Old man, you also want to fight this emperor?" Lao Hebai uttered while transferring his attack to the old demon emperor. Unfortunately, the old demon emperor flew away, but he managed to stand still with his stick. His faceless subordinates were worried for him, and in the end, he stayed silent as he knew that he wasn't a match against Lao Hebai. At this point, Lao Hebai is confident that Beiming can no longer pretend that he is a monster without the old demon emperor protecting him. He summoned his demon heart sword destroyer and attacked it to Beiming. The old demon emperor is worried for Beiming and immediately screams at Beiming, telling him to get away quickly. He knew that if the demon heart sword was pierced into the Sea of Souls, even if it was Emperor Kingshi, he wouldn't be able to recover. Beiming didn't listen at all, but instead summoned his pet Snowball and ordered it to crush the demon heart soul of his opponent. Snowball then instantly rushed to the sword while preparing his fist and attacked it to the sword of the enemy without any hesitation. Lao Hebai's sword was crippled in just one punch, which shocked Lao Hebai. He believes that this tiny pet of Beiming is the only last resort of Beiming, so he told Beiming to watch how he will kill it himself. He was about to catch Snowball, but Snowball was able to dodge away while staring at him with anger. He was so surprised, and Snowball then seized the opportunity to punch his stomach with great force. He fell to the ground while Leoli was staring at him with confusion. After witnessing the scene, the old demon emperor was dumbfounded, as he could not believe how a tiny pet of Beiming that obviously only has the cultivation of the demon king realm defeated the crane easily. In addition, he was wondering if Snowball is also related to ancient Buddhism. "You damn little fly, I will cut you with thousands of swords so that you will never be born again," Lao Hebai angrily said. But then, before he could attack for the second time, Lady Leoli stopped him and reminded him that they had a lot more important things to do other than fighting. Lao Hebai tried to insist for the last time, knowing that Beiming and Snowball's origins were unknown, so he didn't want to let them join their mission. He politely asked Leoli to hand over to him Beiming and Snowball, and he promised that he and his clan would stay loyal to the lady if the lady granted his wish. On the other hand, the old demon emperor forced the lady to believe him that Beiming is really a rare descendant of an ancient beast and also a rare talent in alchemy. The lady becomes confused about whom she should believe. What descendant of the ancient beast? This kid is clearly a hunter. Besides, alchemy is something that even the Crane clan can do, so what if there is one less? Lao Hebai stated while pointing his finger at Beiming. "Really? So tell me, can you make a life and fortune pill?" Beiming responded with a silent smile on his face. Young Miss Liubai was shocked upon hearing this pill from Beiming, knowing that the physical body of the demon emperor is different from the ordinary people, and it's very difficult to heal if it's injured. In addition, she knows that the life and fortune pill can not only heal wounds but also make a breakthrough and improve cultivation. For her, it is a miraculous pill that has been lost long ago. She has only seen a little information about this pill in the records of the Kingshi Palace. Even her father only knows a little about it, and she never thought that she would see someone who can refine this pill. After hearing Beiming's question, Lao Hebai answered that he also knows how to make alchemy and knows it is by no means simple to refine the life and fortune pill. And he believes Beiming doesn't know how to refine it. Beiming this time was a challenge to prove himself to this crane. He possessed a flame consisting of yellow and orange color, and he offered that he would refine it right now. Leoli recalls that the breath of ancient beasts and Nadan fire is orange and yellow. Other than that, for those who practiced alchemy, according to their attainments, the refining fire will appear in different colors, such as red, orange, yellow, green, and purple. The highest attainment is red and the lowest is purple. She knew that a Demon King realm cultivation has such attainments, and she was afraid that in the entire Kingshi Palace, they couldn't find someone like Beiming. She then asked if Beiming really knew how to refine the pill of life and fortune. "Well, as long as there are materials in the furnace, I can refine it immediately, but it takes from 3 to 5 months to become a pill," Beiming answered. 3 to 5 months. Young miss, don't believe his words, he just wants to use this as an excuse, Lao Hebai said with a clenched fist. Leoli was already annoyed at him and ordered him to stay silent. She then asked Beiming's name, and Beiming answered honestly. Chen Beiming and the old demon emperor were surprised after hearing from the lady that he would now be the chief alchemist of their Kingshi Palace starting from now on. She glanced at Lao Hebai to command him to go back to Kingshi Palace and report the news on behalf of her, but then Lao Hebai refused in an instant. What qualification does this little beast, who is still wet under his pants, to be the chief alchemist of our Kingshi Palace? "I'm not convinced," he angrily said. "Old Crane, do you dare to disobey young MS's order just because you are jealous of Beiming? Are you trying to rebel?" the old demon emperor stated with annoyance. Lao Hebai then said that he had made countless contributions to the Kingshi emperor, and that people of his clan worked hard to make an elixir for the emperor. But now, Leoli hands over the position of the chief alchemist in a word. Not only he's convinced, but he believes that the whole Crane clan would not be willing. Leoli was annoyed as she concluded that what Lao Hebai said was threatening to her. He then grabbed a token and asked the crane if he didn't care about Emperor Kingshi. "I think you have done meritorious service for the Kingshi Palace in the past, so I won't drag this matter any further this time. Now you are ordered to go back to the Kingshi Palace and tell your father about the chief alchemist," she stated. And this time, Lao Hebai finally obeys her order. At the same time, the old fox wondered what token Leoli was currently holding. And the demon envoy then answered that this token was bestowed by the Kingshi Emperor, and only the close relatives, young Miss Leoli, and the confidants of the Emperor were worthy of possessing it. In addition, seeing this token is like seeing the Emperor himself. Before Lao Hebai left, Snowball pulled one of his feathers to tease him. He feels insulted and kicks Snowball in front of everyone and leaves. Snowball was sad and immediately hopped onto Beiming's shoulder. While Lao Hebai is leaving, the old demon emperor whispers to Leoli to tell her that he's afraid Lao Hebai won't let this matter go with his personality of keeping a grudge. Won't let this matter go. If it wasn't just for his father to be the chief alchemist, he would not have this disrespectful attitude. Leoli answered. She then handed the token to Beiming and instructed that this token would be the proof of being the chief alchemist. With this, Beiming can go to all the places under Kingshi Palace's jurisdiction. Since the affairs of the Gii Mountain have been handed over to Beiming, Leoli then commands Beiming to follow her to the 9th area. Other than that, he ordered the old demon emperor to prepare his people. Meanwhile, Lao Hebai arrives at the Burial Valley of Gods. He landed on the ground and transformed into a human form. He was heading to the 9th area, and the guards of this place were his people who called him Patriarch. They politely welcomed Lao Hebai, and Lao Hebai asked them both if the demon kings that he asked to come had already arrived. Dark Crane answered that the Sea King, Toad King, and the Underworld King had already arrived and were waiting in the camp for a long time. He pointed the direction to guide Lao Hebai, but before Lao Hebai could enter, the demon kings already saw him. Krana slave, you let us wait for very long, the Toad King said. Behind him are the Sea King and the Underworld King, who are also disappointed to Lao Hebai. What did you call us for today? The Toad asked, and Lao Hebai becomes serious. On the other hand, Beiming is on his way to Kingshi Palace together with Leoli, and they ride in a metal box that is carried by an eagle. While they were traveling, Beiming was still shocked by what happened to him. As he glanced at Leoli, he could not believe that the lady had fallen asleep while traveling. He then grabbed one Buddha lotus and stared at it while saying that the lotus power was really weak. He concludes that if he's able to break through to the Emperor Hunting Realm, he can use more than a dozen ways to deal with Lao Hebai even without the Buddha Fire Lotus. Because of this, he was very determined to find a way to improve his cultivation as soon as possible. However, a breakthrough into the Emperor Hunting Realm is very difficult. Even in the Star Alliance, where there are plenty of medicines, countless people have been trapped in the King Hunting Realm and the Emperor Realm, so Beiming had to fight countless battles and loot countless treasures before he broke into the Emperor Hunting Realm. Nevertheless, it is obviously impossible to break through in the same way as his previous life, so he has to find another way. While he was thinking, he was surprised to see his pet Snowball, who is currently enjoying eating something. What are you doing? Beiming asked. He was dumbfounded the moment he felt something from the thing Snowball was eating. He was asking Snowball what it was and how he got this thing. At the same time, he was familiar with the aura of it, and it's no other than the aura of the Crane Emperor. Beiming becomes silent as he is so confused and tries to think how Snowball got this. He then grabbed it from Snowball and concluded that this thing was definitely Lao Hebai's treasure. But then, he wonders why it fell into the hands of Snowball and when did it happen. He then recalls the time when Snowball was kicked by Lao Hebai before this crane left Gii Mountain. Now, he thinks he knows what Lao Hebai is thinking. He then gave it back to Snowball and let his pet consume it all and then transmit the spirit power inside him. Snowball was so glad and ate the treasure with excitement. The moment he's done, he then possesses the power of this treasure and blows it off to Beiming. The power was successfully transmitted to Beiming, and Beiming senses that this treasure has lots of spirit power. He's worried that he won't have the resources to break through, but now that he unexpectedly got some power from the crane's treasure, he decided to use it for now to break through. He starts refining it and finds himself in the soul sea of the Crane Emperor. Sweat dripped from his forehead as he was startled when a crane suddenly appeared. He was staring at the crane that was just flying, and he believed that this crane was the soul crane guarding the soul sea. In addition, this is the first time Beiming saw this thing in his whole life. He possessed his power and confidently said that this kind of thing was not a big deal for him. Going back to the 9th area of the Burial Valley of God, the Toad King asked Lao Hebai if the chief alchemist's matter had been reported to the Emperor. The young miss asked me to tell the Emperor, but I didn't go. Do you really think that when the Emperor knows about such a person, there will still be a place for us in the Kingshi Palace in the future? That's why I secretly invited you to come to discuss. Lao Hebai answered. The Sea King and the Underworld King were just speechless at the corner. Although the little Miss Man can't be killed even if you want to, with the Crane Emperors knowing it, why did you come to us just to tell us about this annoying kid? The Toad King replied with annoyance. As per Lao Hebai, he's planning to not only kill Beiming but also to do it in front of Leoli. Upon hearing what he said, the Sea King and the Underworld King were shocked and said that he might have gone crazy for planning to do it in front of the young miss. The Toad King asked if he was sure about this plan, and he instantly answered yes and explained that all these kings have to do is stop Leeli before she stops him from killing Beiming. At this moment, the guards inform him that the young miss and the people from Gii Mountain have arrived. They were dropped on the ground by the eagle, and as soon as they came out, they then walked towards Lao Hebai. Lao Hebai and the Toad King then kneeled on the ground and politely greeted and welcomed Leeli. Leeli still feels annoyed at Lao Hebai, so she told them not to be polite and just get up. After seeing the three demon kings, the lady was thinking of a reason for the king's sudden visit. She also asked Lao Hebai while this crane was here instead of going to the Kingshi Palace to report about Beiming to the emperor. The same goes for the other kings. Why all of you are here and not to guarding your respective areas? What are you doing in the 9th district under the charge of the old demon emperor? She added. The Toad King was stuttering and he was about to give an answer, but Lao Hebai suddenly kneeled once more and asked the lady to make justice for him. Beiming was smiling and thought that the justice of Lao Hebai would depend on how good his acting was. The lady then told Lao Hebai to get up and explain to her what happened. This little beast, he took advantage of the situation before to steal the Crane God Pearl of the Crane clan. I asked the young miss to bring justice to our clan and get back the Crane Pearl. Lao Hebai answered while pointing his finger at Snowball and Beiming. Leeli was shocked upon hearing it, and as per the old demon emperor, he remembers that this thing is the treasure of the Crane clan, and it contains tens of thousands of years of inheritance of their clan. He believes that if this thing is lost, a disaster is imminent for the Crane clan. Lao Hebai was staring at Beiming to tease him as he believed that this would be the end of Beiming. According to Leeli, the Crane Pearl is the heritage of the Crane clan and it is related to the rise and fall of their tribe. No matter who took it away, she believes that the Crane clan won't give up. She concludes that this Crane Pearl is useless to Beiming, so she asks Beiming to return it immediately if he really has this treasure. The lady also added that her father may not be able to save Beiming once this matter becomes bigger. Young miss, today is the first time I met him. I don't know anything about the Crane God Pearl, and he has no basis to say that I have stolen the treasure of their clan. How can you believe him? Beiming answered, and Snowball chirped as a sign that he agreed to his master Beiming. Besides, if such a valuable thing was stolen by an unknown demon king like me, do you look upon me as a demon king, or despise yourself as a demon king? Beiming added. Lao Hebai still accused Beiming of stealing the crane pair, and he was annoyed that Beiming denied it in every way possible in front of the young miss. Since Beiming won't tell the truth to them, he challenges Beiming to get checked by the cranes for them to make sure. As per the lady, the crane's sense of smell is extremely keen that even the elixir buried several kilometers in the ground can be easily smelled, let alone the treasure of the Crane clan. She stares at Beiming while wondering why Lao Hebai is so sure that the Crane God Pearl was stolen by Chen Beiming. Other than that, she wondered what she should do once the crane proved that Beiming really stole the pair. Beiming then gave them permission to check him as they wanted. Lao Hebai then summons his little cranes and orders it to go and check Beiming. These cranes smell Beiming and Snowball, and during the checking, Beiming looks very confident that nobody will find out that he really has the pearl. He even smirked and crossed his arms while waiting for the cranes to finish their checking. At the same time, Lao Hebai is very sure that Beiming will die today after finding their crane pearl. Snowball was enjoying these cranes and all the cranes went back to Lao Hebai. Lao Hebai declares that the checking is done, but then, the moment his cranes give a report to him, he becomes surprised as they say that they didn't find the crane pearl to Beiming. Beiming and Snowball smile upon hearing it as they both already expect that there's nothing to be found on them. Lao Hebai was so confused as to why his cranes didn't find the pearl Beiming, since he was very confident that Beiming had it. The crane guards of the 9th area were shocked knowing that their whole crane clan was completely finished once the pair was really gone. On the other hand, Leeli was glad and breathed deeply after knowing that it wasn't Beiming who stole the pair. The kings that were present were speechless as they knew that this was all Lao Hebai's plan all along. Lao Hebai couldn't believe that the crane pearl wasn't found from Beiming, and because of it, he accused Beiming of having the ability to hide the crane pearl in a place where even the crane spirit could not find it. He said that he underestimated Beiming and was confident that he could do anything to Beiming for stealing their crane pearl. If you don't hand over the crane pearl, no one can save you today, he said while possessing his technique that consists of swords. Leeli tried to stop him and reminded him that the crane pearl was not on Chen Beiming's body. Nothing. I'm sure the crane pearl is on him. I can't be wrong. I hide it with my own hands. Lao Hebai said unintentionally, which made Beiming smile and tease him to repeat what he just said. Lao Hebai was so irritated at Beiming, so he attacked Beiming with killing intent, but Lialai went in front of Beiming while telling Lao Hebai not to force her. She summoned her celestial fairy light and used it to make a barrier, and easily blocked the swords of Lao Hebai. Lao Hebai was panicked when the lady interfered and chose to save Beiming. This old slave fought together with the emperor. I did my best for King Shi Palace and made countless credits. But now the young miss actually wants to put this old slave to death for a little beast who is still not dry, Lao Hebai said while clenching his fist. He also bravely told Lialai that this matter is about the survival of their whole Crane clan. And now, Chen Beiming is the enemy of their Crane clan, so he said that Lialai should better not blame him for being rude. The Toad King stopped him in the underworld, and Sea King blocked Lao Hebai from getting near to the lady. They also vow to protect this young miss from Lao Hebai. Still, Lao Hebai is being hard-headed and still accused Beiming. Without the young miss escorting you, the emperor will see what else you can do. Hurry up and hand over the crane pearl, Lao Hebai said while summoning a purple magic crane. Beiming then said that the crane god pearl was forced over to him by Lao Hebai, and since it was given to him, there is no reason to give it back to the crane. The old fox was shocked after hearing what Beiming said, as he thought that Beiming really didn't have the crane pearl. This time, Lao Hebai was so furious while dashing towards Beiming for the second time. Beiming then immediately summoned the soul refining bell and used it to restrain Lao Hebai. The bell is heading towards Lao Hebai and tries to stuck him. Beiming was seriously staring at it, but to his surprise, Lao Hebai was able to carry the soul refining bell. He guffaws while sweating, and he said that he truly looks down on Beiming without expecting that Beiming had such a magic weapon. He believes that with Beiming's low cultivation level, even if there are more and more powerful magic weapons, he will never be able to hurt this crane. Do you think my cultivation base is low? Okay, this master is satisfied today, Beiming answered with an ironic smile on his face. Beiming then possessed the golden Buddha, and both Lialai and the old demon emperor were surprised upon seeing it. Lialai was staring at Beiming, thinking that Beiming was obviously in the Middle Demon King realm just now, but he broke through in a blink of an eye. What makes the lady more surprised is sensing that Beiming is still breaking through at this point. Surprisingly, they all witnessed how Beiming broke through from the peak of the Demon King realm to the early Demon Emperor realm, then the Middle Demon Emperor realm. The lady was so speechless, knowing that this was the first time she had seen a demon beast that could break through several levels in the blink of an eye, and she wondered if this was Beiming's clan's bloodline. While Beiming is refining the golden Buddha, Lao Hebai suddenly kneels on the ground while trembling, as he feels that the soul refining bell is getting heavier, and he knows that sooner or later it might crush him to death. But still, up until this point, he doesn't want to let Beiming succeed against him. He calls out all the people of his crane tribe and commands them all to kill Beiming as soon as possible. All the cranes held their spears and were ready to execute Beiming as what their patriarch wanted. At this moment, there are 100 birds flying above, which startles the old fox and makes the old demon emperor worried, knowing that it's a sign of danger. According to Lialai, this group of birds is an attack formation, a kind of formation passed down by the Crane clan for thousands of years. Relying on the advantages of quantity and speed, they attack the target until their target is exhausted and finally kill him. Lao Hebai was very confident with this attack formation, since no one could break this mile attack formation passed down by their Crane clan. Beiming crossed his arms while looking at this group of birds. Snowball, how about some snack before the main dish? Beiming said, and as usual, Snowball chirped as he agreed to Beiming with excitement. Snowball then dashed towards the group of birds, but the dark crane blocked his way, and knew his plan of trying to challenge the Crane clan's attack formation. Snowball then blew some fire, and seeing it made the dark crow wonder. Snowball continuously blew this fire toward his enemies, and the dark crane was clueless since the fire wasn't painful at first. You miss fast, look there, the old demon emperor screamed. He was referring to the group of birds that are surrounded by the fire. At this time, the dark crane is already screaming in agony. At the same time, Lialai witnessed that the flame of Snowball broke the attack formation of the Crane clan. The birds fell down on the ground as they were being burned by the fire. Lao Hebai was so dumbfounded seeing his clan members slowly killed by Snowball. Lao Hebai, your attack formation has been broken, so take out any other trick you have, Beiming uttered to tease Lao Hebai. He then walks towards the soul refining bell and asks Lao Hebai if he still wants to struggle. Don't be proud, little beast, do you really think that you will win this king? Lao Hebai answered while still trying to carry the soul refining bell. Since he cannot hold it any longer, he decides to activate his broken pearl burning lifeblood escape technique. The pair dropped on the ground, and Beiming was surprised as he knew that this kind of pearl was a beast pearl. He activates his power once more while telling Lao Hebai that he cannot be able to run away. But then, as soon as he attacked it to Lao Hebai suddenly disappeared. His spirit then appeared and flew above while Beiming was staring at it and felt annoyed for being too slow, and wasn't able to stop Lao Hebai from escaping, stealing my crane pearl, killing my people, and damaging my soul. This king wears to the sky that I will repay all this 1,000 times. Lao Hebai stated and left, leaving Beiming in annoyance. But still, Beiming is willing to wait for Lao Hebai, and he told himself that Lao Hebai won't get so easily next time they'll face again. After the commotion, the toad congratulated Liulai for having such a powerful chief alchemist, which he believes will be useful to the Kingshi Palace. The Underworld King was also impressed at Beiming for being able to stop Lao Hebai's rebellion. How many of you really think so? Liulai replied. She was annoyed as she knew that these kings intentionally fought against Lao Hebai and stopped her from taking action, saying that they were escorting her. Now, she believes that these kings cannot make the relationship clear since Lao Hebai is already defeated. The Toad King denied it and said that they only wanted to protect Liulai, and there was no other meaning of it, just like what she was thinking. The Underworld King added that they would not complain if young Miss Liulai wanted to punish them for Lao Hebai's crime. But then, he believes that if this matter spreads out, it will damage the prestige of the Lion Emperor and distract all the demons' hearts. They forced Liulai to think twice, and even the old Demon Emperor was worried. She was so silent while thinking about things that she should do. So if I want to care about it, what should I say? Beiming suddenly said. What a big tone. Do you think you can do whatever after defeating Lao Hebai? How do you want to care about it? The Toad King answered while getting some piece of paper and aiming it at Beiming. The purple flame coming from this piece of paper surrounds Beiming, and Beiming is very sure that this is a poison. The old Demon Emperor panicked upon seeing it as he knew that this was a colorful poisonous smoke array. Once trapped in this array, if the target doesn't escape in time, this highly toxic smoke will turn the person into a pool of blood. Even the powerful Demon Emperor realm who has tempered his body and flesh can't hold up this poisonous array for more than 10 minutes. Beiming this time was covered by the smoke, and at the same time, Liulai was mad at the Toad King for doing this to Beiming. The Toad King then said that he was the chief alchemist who provoked first, and for him, it was all Beiming's fault if he ended up like this. In addition, he was confident that he was a veteran of the Kingshi Palace, and even if Liulai sued him, he knew that Liulai would also be punished for the crime towards him. Lastly, he said that the Emperor would not take their lives for a dead person. Listening to what he just said makes Liulai mad, but he didn't dare to fight this Toad King. The Toad King glanced at the poison he made to eliminate Beiming, and he was very sure that Beiming was already dead this time. Surprisingly, Beiming appeared with an ironic smile on his face to tease the Toad King. Poisonous Toad, you are so confident that I'm dead so early. Do you think it's enough trapping me in a poisonous array? He stated. He then summoned his skeletal demon gun and struck the poison with the intention of breaking it. He successfully made it, which surprised the Toad King. Beiming was standing still with the weapon and a powerful aura. The lady at the same time was shocked at how Beiming easily broke the poison array in just one strike. Beiming at this moment calls the Toad King and teases him that his poison array is just a little trick and nothing special. He even challenged this king to show all the tricks he had. The old Demon Emperor interrupted to warn Beiming about the Toad King's tricks. According to him, although the Demon King's cultivation bases are equivalent to Lao Hebai, their strength is several times that of the Crane King, and he advises Beiming not to underestimate these kings. Liulai also believes that these kings were just bewitched by Lao Hebai, so he wants Beiming not to hurt them and just to let her father deal with these three. Beiming then reminded her that he formally became the chief alchemist of the Kingshi Palace, so there was no reason for him to be friendly with these kings. The young miss and the old demon shouldn't bother with it. I want to see which of these three is better than Lao Hebai. He added, the arrogant little devil, you destroyed my poison array and caused me a lot of damage. This king can't spare you. The Toad King angrily stated. At this moment, he activates his trump card, and that is to become a gigantic monster. He was about to stomp Beiming, but Beiming immediately jumped away from where he was standing. Unfortunately, the Underworld King also aims at him. This king cast a Soul Eater technique, ghosts in the immortal bones of the Emperor. Even the strong of the Demon Emperor realm will be swallowed to death in an instant. With its purpose, he believes that Beiming will become the food for these hungry ghosts. Upon seeing these skulls, Beiming immediately activates his Phantom Soul slashing skill, and easily slashes the skulls one by one. The Underworld King was shocked upon seeing it. At this time, the Sea King makes a move and summons his weapon while admitting the fact that there are a lot of good things in the hands of Beiming. But with this Sea Trident, he believes that Beiming will no longer be able to face it. He then rushed to Beiming with this trident, and as expected, Beiming easily blocked his weapon. Beiming then attacked this Sea King on its stomach, but then it turned out that it was a fake one. "Where are you aiming?" the Sea King asked. He was already behind Beiming and already had a golden wing. Beiming then turned around his head and saw the Sea King intending to kill him. Beiming managed to dodge away, and the Sea King couldn't believe how Beiming easily avoided his trident. Beiming then rushed toward him with a clenched fist and immediately punched him in the chest. At this point, Beiming was able to hit the Sea King, which caused this king flew away and vomit some blood. He bumped into the huge rock, and he was now mad that Beiming really dared to hurt him. The Underworld King offered him some help since he was in pain. Beiming is just calm and even smirks to tease these kings. He grips his weapon and struck the ground. The ground started to crumble, and the two kings felt danger upon seeing it. A golden chain then suddenly appeared and tied them both. Because of Beiming's unbelievable ability, the Sea King was very curious about his real identity. On the other hand, Beiming heard the Toad King behind him saying that he could not stop the king's poisonous rods despite that he was able to stop the Sea King's trident and the Underworld King's Soul Eater. This Toad King then spits some poison rod at Beiming, and the old demon emperor is confused if this poison is a smoke or bomb. According to Leoli, this poison is the Toad King's poisonous smoke gun. No matter whether it's poisonous smoke or evil spirits, as long as it passes through the smoke gun, it can shoot like a hidden weapon with a bullet. When this poison got near Beiming, he then summoned one of his Buddha Lotus fire. The Toad King was shocked the moment he witnessed how this Buddha Lotus of Beiming easily sucked all the poison. His eyes rounded and his body froze while staring at his poisonous smoke gun. "It's you again," Beiming uttered while staring at him with a smile on his face. "You, what are you doing?" the Toad King asked. In the end, he screamed so loud as Beiming tied him together with the two demon kings. Beiming smiled at them while offering them some business to do. With Beiming's posture, the Toad King was now frightened of him. He then asked what Beiming wanted, and Beiming answered that he wanted 3 things. "Give me your Soul Eater, poisonous smoke gun, and iron trident for 8 or 10 years, and I won't blame you for considering against me with Lao Hebai," Beiming stated. The kings were shocked to hear that Beiming wanted to get one of their family treasures. At the same time, the old demon king disagrees with Beiming and explains that these kings' family treasures contain endless evil spirits and poisons, and he believes Beiming will surely be eaten by them easily. He also informed Beiming that even the Emperor Kingshi didn't dare to take these kings' families' treasure. "You don't know what is good and bad, but dare to think about this king's pipe," the Toad King uttered. He then summons his pipe, and Beiming concludes that this pipe is the Toad King's poisonous smoke gun. The Toad King was staring at Beiming while thinking that Beiming could only be proud for a while now after getting his pipe. He knows that after a month, Beiming will be corrupted into blood by the poison in the pipe. All of a sudden, they all heard a loud noise. Beiming then immediately turned around and saw a bunch of birds again. At this moment, the 3-legged golden crow appeared together with a Tao Tai. The dignified king pays respect to the young miss, who indulged her subordinate to seize the demon royal treasure. The Tao Tai said. The golden crow also added that the defeat of the 3 big demon kings by a little demon emperor, which is Beiming, is really a good show for him. The old demon emperor calls them and wants to stop them from saying something, but then they don't listen. The Tao Tai told the lady that her kingshi palace was really getting more and more interesting. Beiming was so confused as to why the Tao Tai only called the lady by her name. Bold. The name of the young miss is something you can call directly. Since you are here, the master of the gourmet hall, you still hope to be able to respect yourself, the old demon king angrily said. But then, the Tao Tai was mad and said that the old demon emperor was being too noisy. Old demon, this young master can call whoever he wants. It's not your turn to talk, he added. Leoli was annoyed at him, and on the other hand, the golden crow was claiming that Leoli was his woman, so he told the Tao Tai not to scare the lady. The Tao Tai side-eyed and grits his teeth while telling the golden crow to be silent. In addition, he also claims that Leoli is clearly his wife. Leoli. It's hard to imagine that such a beautiful name would have such a big appetite. Lord Miss, besides them, how many male favorites do you have? Beiming whispered to the lady, which made the lady annoyed and scared him to have a cut tongue if he dared to say some more. Flatbird, Bone Dog, this area is under the Kingshi's territory. You broke into the palace without telling me anything. You also hurt the people in my place. Do you really think I dare not to do anything to you? What is your purpose? Don't blame me for being rude if you don't say it clearly, Leoli said to the demons that just came. Worthy of being the jewel in the palm of the Kingshi Emperor, he actually gave her such treasures. But let's see if after seeing this thing you can still have that attitude of yours. The Tao Tai answered while summoning a paper. The paper consists of a message for Leoli to inform her that the bet for this battle of the Burial Valley of the Gods has changed, and the previous bet is invalid. Leeli was shocked upon hearing it, and as per the Tao Tai, Leeli's elder brothers were reluctant to use the holy relic as a bet, so they temporarily changed the betting agreement. And he declared that this time, the bet was none other than Nalin Leeli. The lady had mixed emotions. She was silent in shock, and after a few seconds, he told Tao Tai that it was impossible for her to become the bet as she believed that her father wouldn't agree with it even if this was a decision of her brothers. But then, according to Tao Tai, the contract has already been signed. It is related to the reputation of the Kingshi Palace, even if the Blue Lion Emperor, who is Leeli's father, is not willing, he must recognize it. On the other hand, the Golden Crow offered the lady to get married in his Golden Crow cave and pass the main family's blood. The Tao Tai was mad once again while telling the Golden Crow that Leeli would be his wife and should marry into their family's Tao Tai temple. The two were arguing just because they both wanted the lady and be the lady's husband. While they were having a conflict, Leeli was thinking why she became the bet. She was trembling in anger as she could not accept that it was her own brothers who used her as a bet. At the same time, Beiming was staring at her and noticed how mad she was. Leeli belongs only to me, you better set aside. The Tao Tai said, Bone dog, Leeli was destined to belong to me from the moment she was born, so don't daydream. The Golden Crow answered with a clenched fist. Since they were both busy arguing against each other, Beiming silently summoned the soul refining bell, and was about to stux both Tao Tai and the Golden Crow, but then, they noticed it and immediately dodged away. My young miss does not belong to anyone. She is the one to decide who she wants to marry. If you two dare to offend the young miss of my family, I won't mind taking care of you, Beiming said, and hearing these words from him made the lady thrilled and suddenly slapped Beiming's back. Who is the young miss of your family? If you dare to say more lies, I'll tell to my father and he will punish you, she stated. But then, she realized what Beiming did was to save her from these beasts in front of them. As he said just now, I am not an object that can change ownership at your will. This bet, I won't accept it. I will report this to my father and the bet is still the same as before, she declared. Both Golden Crow and Tao Tai were annoyed by how the lady dared not recognize the bet. The Tao Tai then possessed his power. The moment his powerful aura appeared, Beiming then believed that this Tao Tai was an early demon emperor realm. Now on Leeli, today you must give me an explanation, the Tao Tai uttered. At this point, Beiming asked to borrow Leeli's bracelet without giving any reason why. Leeli then concludes that Beiming is referring to her ancient sacred ring of all tribulation. It's her father's natal treasure and has a mark left by him. She asked Beiming what he wanted to do with it, and Beiming then told her that she wouldn't have a chance next time if she didn't take advantage of this bracelet now. The lady was so confused, but then she handed the bracelet to Beiming. A demon emperor in the early stage of the realm. Killing you is really cheap, Beiming said. He offered the Tao Tai to be Leeli's mount in exchange for Beiming sparing his life. The Tao Tai paused upon hearing Beiming's offer, and at the same time, the Golden Crow was shocked at how Beiming wanted the Tao Tai to be a mount, knowing that this Tao Tai named Lu Qianfen is the grandson of the Lu Emperor who can rival in strength the Blue Lion Emperor. He immediately dashed towards Beiming with his power, and Beiming this time glanced at the lady, giving her the signal to use her power to activate the bracelet. The lady then stares at her as a sign of approval. She then possessed her power and cast it toward her ancient sacred ring that was held by Beiming. This bracelet started to become green from its original color, and the moment it completely changed its color, Beiming threw it toward Lu Qianfen. It got bigger and Lu Qianfen was confused upon seeing it. It suddenly wrapped into his neck and he tried to remove it, but he couldn't. He was screaming in pain while Beiming was just standing in front of him. He calls Leeli and angrily asks the lady to release the bracelet on his neck or he will ask his grandfather to take care of her. Let him come, I will wait for him at the Kingshi Palace, Leeli answered. She was holding a whip and mercilessly hit the Tao Tai with it. According to the Sea King, this whip she was holding is the treasure of the native town of the Blue Lion Emperor, and is as famous as the sacred ring of 10,000 tribulations. He could not believe that the Emperor bestowed such a treasure to Leeli, and he wondered how many treasures the Emperor gave to this young miss. The Toad King added that the ancient sacred ring of thousands of tribulations and the whip of the gods can make the Demon Emperor realm jealous. Become the young miss mount or die. Choose one quickly, young master, Beiming said. Lu Qianfen is already full of bruises and he feels hatred towards Beiming and Leeli. At this time, Beiming noticed some temperature changes around them which suddenly rose. He immediately asked the lady if she also noticed it, and the lady fanned herself with her hand and answered that she also felt a little bit changed. Beiming glanced at the clouds and he felt that there seemed to be something hidden in it. He used his skeletal demon gun and attacked the clouds with its power. After doing it, he saw a battleship above. He was so confused at this moment, knowing that it was a 9th-tier Imperial ship, which was something that would be developed only more than 10 years later but now appeared here. While he was staring at it, the lady asked him what it was. The Golden Craw himself also knew that it was an Imperial airship. The airship creates a loud noise and Beiming feels something strange with it. Shockingly, the airship dropped several beast-trapping cages and Beiming rattled, knowing that these beast-trapping cages can automatically detect the fluctuations of the spiritual power within 100 meters of a radius. Whether it is a human or a demon, as long as it is trapped, it cannot escape. And even a demon at the peak of the Demon King realm cannot resist it. He then told everyone, enemy or not, to leave the area as soon as possible. Fast, everyone, spread out, Liulai said. The cages dropped on the ground, which caused the ground to crumble and create a strong smoke in the area. The old demon emperor was worried for Liulai, but Liulai assured him that she was fine. On the other hand, Beiming was staring at the beast-trapping cage while recalling that this thing was also a product of more than 10 years. He was so confused and wondered what happened to Star Alliance for these things coming out one by one. He was so invested in thinking, not knowing that there was a cage that was about to catch him. Good thing that Liulai screamed at him for him to get back to his senses and immediately summoned the skeletal demon gun and struck the ground. The golden chain appeared and tied the cages that were about to be dropped at him. He was able to deflect these things, and he now concludes that there's something wrong going on. He now deduces that the best wave that was supposed to happen in the future appeared sheer of schedule. But the Kong family of the first ancient clan of Star City became the Yuan family, who did not know where Beiming came from. He claims that it might be because of him that these things appeared, and that it is also because of his rebirth that makes the things that happened in his previous life change. He then smiled as he liked the idea of him that he could really change his history. He was thinking for a long time, which made the lady suddenly pause. After noticing the lady, he then suggested retreating first and regrouping since the enemy attacked too suddenly. Want to run? The mount must follow the owner. Where do you want to go? Liulai said to Lu Qianfen. Despite the fact that he's annoyed, he still lets the lady ride on his back and retreat together and transfer to a different area. After arriving, the lady went down and walked towards Beiming to discuss their plan. Val and Liulai, you and my family are considered family friends. If you don't want to marry into my Tao Tai temple, it's fine. But you humiliated me in public with this adulterer. If it were you, could you bear it? Lu Qianfen suddenly said. Shut up. If you dare to talk more, I will use the ancient sacred ring of myriad tribulations to break your neck. Liulai answered. At this point, the old demon emperor is asking Beiming of a way on how they can deal with the iron cages, and he says that he can't just sit back and watch the Star Alliance occupy their territory. Beiming understood his feelings. He then explains to them that the Star Alliance's 9th-tier Imperial ship is covered with several layers of armor. Apart from the strong hunters at the Emperor realm, nothing can damage the warship from the outside. But then, in their current strength, they can only find a way to infiltrate and attack from inside the warship. The old demon emperor was shocked by Beiming's way, and he told Beiming that Star Alliance people won't just wait, not to mention sneaking in. And he was afraid that even hiding the identity of the monsters in front of them was a problem. For him, he can't just wait and die in an instant. On the other hand, Liulai is thinking of needing a strong emperor. She then told Beiming to follow her back to the Qingxi Palace to see her father. She believes that once her father comes out in person, it won't be a problem to deal with the iron layers of the warship. Beiming becomes serious upon hearing it. This time, he claims that the development of the Star Alliance has far exceeded his expectations. He concludes that if they want to completely isolate the land of the ruins from the Star Alliance, they can only form an alliance with the monster beast here and unite all the powers of the ruins. Beiming then bowed down to her and accepted her plan. Liulai then pointed her finger at Lu Qianfen while ordering the old demon emperor to watch Qianfen and never let him escape. Other than that, she wants the old demon emperor to take some people and stay in this nearby area to monitor the movement of the Star Alliance. At the Qingxi Palace, the Qingxi Emperor, who is the Blue Lion Emperor, was holding a scroll and was peacefully sitting on his throne. It turned out that his origin was a lion. While he was about to open the scroll, he smelled something unfamiliar breath. On the other hand, Beiming and Liulai arrived at the Lion Peak Mountain where the Qingxi Emperor stayed. The eagle dropped them in front of the gate guards, and one guard said that nobody could enter without the authorization of the emperor. Liulai then comes out and says that Beiming is her person and they have an important matter to discuss with her father. The guards were surprised that their visitor was the young miss. After seeing Beiming, they also said that Chen Beiming doesn't look like a demon, But then, the Qingxi Emperor gave a word to his guards to let Chen Beiming and Li Lai enter. Upon hearing his voice, Chen Beiming then looks up above and he smells the breath of a late demon emperor realm. At this moment, the guards open the gate and let Beiming enter as the Qingxi Emperor wanted. They both then enter the palace and Chen Beiming is just following Li Lai. The moment they arrived, Li Lai instantly told her father that she had something important to discuss. "Li Lai, my daughter, have you missed Dad after staying so long apart? Did the group of beasts in Gii Mountain bully you?" The Qingxi Emperor replied. The lion then hugs the lady with excitement while the lady is annoyed when in fact, they have both been apart for less than a day. Beiming was staring at them both and he concluded that the lion in front of him was the Lion Emperor. Meanwhile, Li Lai already told her father about the important matter she wanted to discuss. After hearing the news about the Star Alliance's sudden attack, the Qingxi Emperor was so mad and smashed the chair. He cannot accept that the hunters of the Star Alliance really look down on him. He then asked his daughter where the Star Alliance's warship possibly went as he decided to personally go to see the warship himself. This time, Li Lai introduced Chen Beiming to her father and she said that Beiming is the descendant of a legendary beast and knows the Star Alliance very well. She also sees the chance to ask her father to designate Beiming as the chief alchemist of the Qingxi Palace as she believed that it would be easier for them with Beiming's help. The Qingxi Emperor was staring at Beiming and he laughed while saying that if Beiming is recommended by his daughter, he must be a masterful alchemist, so he easily approved. He declares that Beiming will be officially designated as the chief alchemist of the Qingxi Palace after the war against the Star Alliance. Li Lai was glad that her father agreed and Beiming at the same time gave thanks to the emperor. After their discussion, the Blue Lion Emperor then told Li Lai to rest as he knew that his daughter was tired. His other reason is to be alone with Chen Beiming and have a chat about the Star Alliance. The lady then agreed and left Chen Beiming to the Qingxi Emperor. "What descendant of the legendary beast? You can fool others but you can't fool me," the Qingxi Emperor directly said to Beiming. Beiming felt nervous as he thought that the Qingxi Emperor really believed in his daughter Li Lai. The Blue Lion summoned a sword and ordered Beiming to tell him honestly about the purpose of his coming in here. Beiming becomes silent while just staring at the Emperor. At the same time, Li Lai walked to the palace and was heading to her room, but before she arrived, she heard someone talking behind her, asking why she was there when they heard that the lady had gone to Gii Mountain. It was his two brothers, Nalan Hao and Nalan Huang. Huang laughed and said that their sister Li Lai might have gotten scared by those wild beasts of Gii Mountain, that's why she decided to go home. Li Lai then answered that she had to report something to her father. Other than that, the Qingxi Palace is also her home and she asked both of her brothers if she was not allowed to come back. Huang was mad with how Li Lai answered him despite the fact that he was Li Lai's elder brother. "Brother, when my brother used me as a bet on my back, did he think of me and him as brother and sister?" Li Lai responded. Hao grits his teeth out of annoyance as he knows that it is the Golden Crow and Lu Qianfeng who told his sister Li Lai about the bet. Li Lai then told them both that she could let go of what they had done because of the imminent war with the Star Alliance. But if there is another time, she wants both of her brothers to not blame her for not thinking about brotherhood. "All illegitimate bastards born by a scumbag have tainted the sacred blood of our family. What right do you have to call us brother? Look in the mirror and see what you are. Do you really think you can do whatever you want because of our father?" Huang angrily said while pointing to Li Lai. Li Lai this time felt insulted, so she summoned her whip and hit Huang with it. Huang was annoyed once again while Hao was shocked to see the god whip from Li Lai's hand. While they were arguing, they both heard their guard reporting that something bad happened. Their guard was already wounded and weak. He said that it was the Star Alliance who attacked the palace. Li Lai rattled upon hearing it as she never expected the Star Alliance to attack too early. Outside the palace, numerous of Star Alliance's defenders were standing. These defenders were like a robot who aimed to kill all the monsters. The monsters panicked, especially when they saw the Star Alliance's black gold mech and activated it. They were so curious about this weapon since this was the first time they saw it. All the defenders then aimed at the monsters that were outside the palace, and while they were firing these monsters, the ground was shaking, which was felt by Chen Beiming and the Qingxi Emperor. Beiming wondered if this was just an earthquake, but a part of him felt that it seemed to be more like explosions. On the other hand, the Qingxi Emperor concluded that it might be the Star Alliance who attacked his palace. But then, he was confused since he hadn't detected any spirit powers. Because of this, he comes to the conclusion that Beiming might be the one who did it. He then stood and walked towards Beiming while saying that the human aura in Beiming's bones also can't be hidden even if his body is filled with an ancient beast aura. "Say, what are you planning?" he asked angrily while preparing his sword to assassinate Beiming. He also added that he would cut off Beiming's head from his body right away if he was still hiding anything. He swung his sword and pointed it to Beiming. Beiming doesn't feel nervous at all, and the emperor orders him to start talking about his real identity and purpose if he doesn't want to die. He put down his sword, and Beiming then bowed down to him and politely answered that he was here to fight against the Star Alliance as he had a rivalry with them. He also told the emperor that he came to help after knowing that the Qingxi emperor was fighting against the Star Alliance people. "Help me. There are countless brave under my command. Do you think that I need your help?" The emperor said. As per Beiming, the soldiers under the Qingxi emperor are indeed brave, but the Star Alliance is equipped with technology and has countless treasures from the ruins. In a real fight, the emperor's soldiers will only become Star Alliance's living targets. He also informed the emperor that he had fought several times against the Star Alliance. Although he wouldn't say that the Star Alliance's strength is higher than the emperor's soldiers, he knows that the Star Alliance is well equipped, so he would like to do his best for the emperor and defeat the Star Alliance together. The Qingxi emperor was just silent while staring at Beiming. Before he could decide, his son Wang came to report that something was happening outside the palace. He was together with Liulai, and he explained to their father that the Star Alliance was already attacking. At this moment, Liulai noticed her father thinking about something, so she asked it herself, but her father didn't give her an answer. Instead, he told Beiming that humans like him are cunning, vicious, rude, and unreasonable, who treat the monsters as scumbags and then kill and slaughter each other for their own purpose, and that is the reason why he couldn't believe Beiming says to help him. "Hunter, why should I believe you?" he asked. Upon hearing what he just said, Liulai was shocked after knowing that Beiming is really a hunter. Beiming was just staring at the emperor, and Huang suddenly screamed, asking why there was a hunter in their palace. He points his finger at his sister Liulai and angrily says that it was Liulai who brought a hunter into the Qingxi palace. Liulai didn't argue with him, but instead, she thought that Beiming was a descendant of an ancient beast. But then, since her father is a strong demon, she believes that her father can't make a mistake. She clenched her fist out of annoyance as she could not accept that Beiming was able to deceive her, and made up all his lies deliberately. Up until this time, Beiming didn't say any words, so the Qingxi emperor allowed him to say his last word. Before Beiming could speak, he suddenly positioned himself the moment he heard an explosion coming from the roof. The Qingxi emperor was also startled, and his daughter Liulai saw some humans from the smoke coming from the explosion. When they are completely visible, it turns out that they are the people from the Star Alliance. Hao panicked knowing that these humans had reached them so soon. Beiming was bravely standing in front of these defenders, and he knew that all these were a Jianwei puppet. It's a machine that should appear later than the 9th tier Imperial ship, and now it was already developed by the Star Alliance. He also knew that these puppets wouldn't get tired since it is all made of mechanical parts. Once it receives instructions, it will spare no effort to complete them, so it's a very terrifying killer that Beiming knew. All of a sudden, the puppets suddenly detect that Beiming is not a monster. Their eyes turned blue as they confirmed that Beiming was a human, and they declared to not hurt any humans. Beiming was shocked upon hearing it, and Nalan brothers concluded that Beiming might be one of these puppets. At this point, the Qingxi emperor walked towards Beiming and swung his sword while saying that he underestimated Beiming the time that he had the ability to kill him. He screamed that Chen Beiming's good days were now over. On the other hand, the puppet's eyes go back into red as they detect the Lion Emperor. They then jump toward the Emperor with killing intent, so the Emperor ended up killing the enemies first using his divine sword. While he was fighting, there were some puppets behind him, and it activated its black gold mech and instantly attacked him. Beiming shouted at the Emperor to be careful, but then, the area where the Emperor was standing had already been attacked. Liulai panicked and was worried for his father, and fortunately, the Lion Emperor was still alive. Both Huang and Hao were about to assist their father, but there's a puppet who attacked them. They were able to dodge and saw how damaged the wall was after it was hit by the black gold mech. This time, Beiming makes a move by aiming arrows at the puppets. The puppets were instantly defeated by just a few arrows, which made Huang surprised. Beiming then told them that the Jianwei puppets aren't flesh and blood, and the only way to destroy them completely is by tearing them up into pieces, and a long-distance weapon is a good choice. The Lion Emperor couldn't believe that Beiming was really helping them. Beiming then said that it was just to block the next round of shelling for the Emperor. He also mentioned once more that he really came to defeat the Star Alliance together with the Qingxi Emperor without any other intentions. The Emperor was so silent, thinking that even if the puppets were an Emperor's cultivation base like him, it was impossible to defeat it without complete preparation. He was surprised now to witness Beiming, who only had the cultivation base of the Emperor, was able to defeat all of the puppets at the same moment. While he was staring at Beiming, He was curious to know Beiming's real identity. On the other hand, numerous puppets appeared again, and as per Beiming, they received the instruction to kill only the demon beasts so they would not harm humans. And now, he told the emperor that they could use this to deal with these enemies. The Qingxi emperor then rushed to the puppets together with Beiming. In addition, although they received the order to capture you alive, in the perception of the Zhenwei puppets, even if you are divided into 5 parts, as long as there is still a breath in your body, they will consider you alive, so don't be careless. Beiming added. The Qingxi emperor said that it's really nostalgic, as he would have never thought that one day he would cooperate with a hunter again. Beiming is shocked to hear it from the emperor, and he wonders what the emperor is trying to say since they don't have time to discuss it. The moment they got near to the puppets, the Qingxi emperor activated his wild sword technique, and at the same time, the puppets activated their black gold mech and aimed at the emperor. "This is my Qingxi palace, you dare to be presumptuous here." The Qingxi emperor screamed and slashed one of the puppets. One puppet was about to go to the emperor, but Beiming blocked his way and told it that he could not pass from this area. He was holding his weapon and struck it on the ground. He then possessed his sleepy dragon ascend to heaven, and these golden dragons immediately rushed toward the puppets. After it hit the enemies, a huge explosion happened, and Beiming uttered, giving thanks to the puppets for not killing him. This time, the Qingxi emperor agreed to help each other wholeheartedly. Almost all of the puppets were defeated, but there is one left who still utters to kill the lion emperor alive. The lion emperor then struck it on the neck, causing it to instantly stop working. Beiming then glanced at him with a slight smile while saying that all the puppets who came in had been wiped out. The Qingxi emperor loudly laughed and proudly said that this pile of broken copper and iron dared to challenge him. "Hunter boy, I haven't fought with a hunter for a long time. If it weren't for you today, I'm afraid I would have been taken to the Star Alliance by this bunch of scarps. If you need anything, just go on, I must thank you," he said to Beiming. Fight together. Could it be that the emperor was a monster of a powerful hunter? Beiming asked. The Qingxi emperor felt a little bit sad and said that he was fighting together with the strongest person he had ever seen in his whole life, and that person was a lady. Beiming remained silent and let the Qingxi emperor talk about it. But then, that is all the Qingxi emperor wanted to disclose, since all of it is a memory from the past that he never wanted to tell again. Instead, he wants Beiming to say what he really wants. As long as it's something the Qingxi emperor can get, it will be given to Beiming. Beiming then answered that he only needed a little help, nothing to match. He mentioned that it was the Qingxi emperor who did most of the work to defeat the puppets, and if the emperor was really thankful to him, he wanted the emperor to consider the fact of fighting the Star Alliance together. As per the Qingxi emperor, Liulai mentioned to him that Beiming knew about the Star Alliance very well, and he was impressed how Beiming knew how to deal with the puppets. But then, he wants to know what relationship Beiming has with the Star Alliance. Beiming was silent for a few seconds while thinking that if he honestly explained to the Qingxi emperor what happened in his previous life, if he believed it, it would be easier to fight the Star Alliance together. But if he doesn't believe Beiming, he might think Beiming is a lunatic, and it will be hard for Beiming to talk about cooperation. "It's really hard to talk about my past, so Emperor, please forgive me," he said. The Emperor turned around and laughed. He said that it seemed Beiming didn't want to talk about certain things, but it doesn't matter to him, and he said he will never ask again. He spread his arms to Beiming and told Beiming to beat the Star Alliance together. Before Beiming could grab the Emperor's hand, a puppet was about to attack the Emperor with its black gold mech. Beiming saw it, but he was too late to save the Lion Emperor. The Lion Emperor was struck in his stomach, and the puppets then grabbed him and declared that they successfully captured the Blue Lion Emperor. Beiming was so confused why there were still a lot of puppets, and he concluded that it could be the reinforcements of the Star Alliance. At this time, Liulai with her brothers went back to the room and witnessed how their father was grabbed by the Star Alliance's puppet. But they cannot do anything, so their father is successfully captured by the puppets. Chen Beiming. What the hell has happened? Liulai asked Beiming with anger. Beiming then casually answered that the Blue Lion Emperor had been taken away by the Star Alliance. Upon hearing what he said, Huang doubted him again, so he called their palace's guards and ordered them to take down Beiming, as he believed that Beiming was really a Star Alliance's spy. "Let's go together. Take down the spy of the Star Alliance," the wolf angrily said. They then jumped towards Beiming, and Beiming was forced to fight back to defend himself. He used his ghost shadow steps and slashed a little bit of the wolf's wrists. They were screaming in pain and were confused at the same time. Even Huang himself was shocked to see how fast Beiming was. "A bunch of rice buckets can't even hold a little boy. What use can you possibly have?" Hao uttered with annoyance. He possessed his power while clenching his fist, and Beiming could see that he was at the Demon King realm peak. On the other hand, Liulai disagreed with her brothers, accusing Beiming as the Star Alliance's spy. Huang then said that the people from the Star Alliance came to capture their father as soon as Beiming arrived at the Qingxi people. The Star Alliance marched all the way into the Qingxi palace but only didn't attack him. What is he if not a spy? He added. Beiming remained silent while listening to their accusations. In addition, he cannot blame these monsters for thinking that he really is a spy of Star Alliance since the puppets of the Star Alliance say that they should not harm humans. Lilai was also thinking about what Huang just said. But if he really is a spy of the Star Alliance, why didn't he leave with them? What good is it for him to stay here? She asked. As per Huang's perspective, Beiming has many tricks so he cannot say the reason why Beiming chose to stay. Other than that, he waits for the monster and the hunter to be in the same situation, knowing and now knowing. But it is the difference for him between killing Beiming early or late, since he can see that his sister Lilai is so anxious to defend and justify Beiming. He concludes that Lilai has an unspeakable relationship with Beiming. Lilai was annoyed and clenched her fist as she didn't like what her brother said. You even suspect me. The most urgent matter now is to rescue father, she screamed angrily. Huang then widely smiled and told her to wait until he caught Beiming himself. He believes that once it happens, his father can be rescued easily. Beiming this time interrupted by telling them that he and the Qingxi Emperor have reached a cooperation to fight the Star Alliance together, so he has no intention of fighting with the Qingxi Emperor's son. But then, even if how much he explained, Huang didn't want to believe him. At this moment, Beiming senses something behind him. Upon checking, it is Hao rushing towards Beiming with killing intent. Beiming immediately clenched his fist while possessing a great force. He then punched Hao before Hao could attack him. Hao flew away and slammed into the wall. Lilai was shocked to see her fall into a disadvantage in front of a hunter, knowing that Hao is only one step away from the Demon Emperor. At the same time, Huang went to his brother Hao to check if he was fine. I'm fine. This brat has really pissed me off. I want his life, Hao answered with anger. Beiming just stares at him with annoyance. Hao then activated his Lion King Sky Killing Claw and punched the ground. At the same time, Huang helped him. He gets his rotten bone flute and creates a loud noise. But then, Beiming slashed his flute, which made him startled. Beiming then summoned Snowball, and Snowball immediately widely opened his mouth and swallowed the flute of Huang. Huang was so annoyed and couldn't believe that a tiny pet dared to get his treasure. I don't want to fight with you. This baby will accompany you for a while, Beiming said. But still, Hao won't stop as he wants to avenge. He dashed towards Beiming, but he was surprised when Beiming disappeared in front of him and went back behind. Lilai was surprised to see Beiming's ability. Since they didn't witness Beiming's conversation with her father, she was wondering if Beiming really reached a cooperation with her father. Beiming at this point let Snowball fight against Hao. Hao ironically smiled and called Snowball an overconfident brat. Unfortunately, Snowball becomes terrified and Hao is able to punch him with great force, causing him to hardly bump into the wall. Beiming feels pity for him after seeing that he is in pain. Now, it's your turn, Hao said to Beiming. Beiming is already mad at him, and at the same time, Lilai wants to stop the fight, but she knows she cannot do it. She decided to get a smoke bomb and throw it on the ground. It creates a dark smoke, and the two brothers cough and notice that their sister Lilai is gone together with Beiming and Snowball. He believes that the three had run away, and he said that Lilai always brought bad to their family. At this time, Lilai and Beiming really ran away from the palace. While they were walking, Lilai asked Beiming to answer honestly who he really was. Beiming then answered that he was not a descendant of the ancient beast nor a spy of the Star Alliance, but only a person who was humiliated and betrayed by the Star Alliance. Upon hearing his answer, Lilai relates to Beiming's experience of betrayal and humiliation. She recalled the time when she was too young and got bruises on her body because of her two brothers who always bullied her since then. That time Hao belittled her, but she didn't bother to argue, and instead only stared at her brother with anger. As per Huang, Lilai is so stupid for following him without thinking twice the moment he said that their father wanted to see Lilai. When the scene happened, Tao Tai was also with them, and he said that it was bad to start with such a heavy hand knowing that Lilai is their sister. My sister, a scumbag that has tainted the noble blood of our family. I don't remember having such a sister, Huang answered. He also mentioned that they already had given Lilai a chance to get out of the Qingxi palace, and since Lilai refused, they became cruel to her. On that day, Hao said that he couldn't bear to see Lilai, so he declared to send the lady back to where she really belonged. Huang agreed for the reason that no one was waiting to see Lilai in the Qingxi palace aside from their father. He also told both Hao and the Tao Tai and the Crow what would happen should be kept a secret. The Crow easily agreed, while the Tao Tai felt hesitant the moment Lilai asked for some help from him. Hao noticed that he felt pity for Lilai and asked if he wanted to save the lady, but the Tao Tai answered no. After hearing his answer, Liulai becomes emotional and hopeless while uttering the Tao Tai's name, which is Lu Qianfen. Hao then possessed his flame and said goodbye to Liulai. He was about to end Liulai's life, but their father, the Blue Lion Emperor, came to save his one and only daughter. Huang was startled to see their father while their father hugged Liulai and told both of his sons that Liulai was also their sister, so why did they intend to kill her? He then claims that both Hao and Huang need to be disciplined. According to Liulai, after that day happened, her father secretly gave her the divine whip and the ancient sacred ring of myriad tribulations. Huang and Hong never bothered her again until they fought with the Star Alliance today. Thinking about it carefully, she realizes that Beiming is the only person besides her father who dares to stand up and help her. She also recalls the time when the Blue Lion Emperor stated that he had seen the noblest hunters and countless despicable monsters. At that time, her father advises her not to trust just because the other side is a monster, and she should not kill just because the other side is a hunter. She asked her father how she could know if the other side was good or bad, and the Emperor answered that if it was someone like him, he must be good. At the present time, Liulai asks Beiming if he knows where her father is, since Beiming really has knowledge about the Star Alliance. Beiming instantly answered yes. Liulai then showed a ghost contract to Beiming and asked him to sign it if he really was an enemy of the Star Alliance, so they could both rescue the Blue Lion Emperor without any doubt. Okay, but we need to make some preparations before that, Beiming answered. They went to the Star Alliance 9th tier Imperial ship and saw some humans guarding it. They both were hiding in the bush, and the lady asked Beiming how they could sneak in knowing that there were so many guards around. Beiming then told her not to worry as he had already figured out a method. While they were hiding, one guard walked towards the area where they were hiding as he saw some movement over the woods. But then, he never saw someone, but he felt strange as he heard a voice in the area just now. He then saw someone he thought was his co-guard. He asked what was happening, and Chen Beiming, who he thought was just a normal guard of Star Alliance, answered that he caught a demon who wanted to cause trouble. Beiming found a way to look like a guard of Star Alliance, and he was holding Liulai to show the enemies that he was really part of the Alliance. This is a monster. No matter how you look at it, it is human. The other man answered, "Let me go. You hunters, I'm going to tear you in a lot of pieces." Liulai screamed. This time, the guards believe that Liulai is really a monster, so he decided to put her on the ship and gave Beiming permission to bring Liulai inside with him. Beiming then smiled as they successfully sneaked in. Such a high-quality monster. Those guys were so happy to see it. Beiming uttered. Liulai and Beiming are already inside the ship. They saw guards inside, so they were careful not to be caught. Beiming was hiding every time there were guards heading their way, and he believes that this road leads directly to the prison where the Lion Emperor should be kept. He also stated that the ship was heavily guarded and their goal was to rescue the Emperor, so there was no need to alarm them and cause any trouble. In addition, Snowball isn't healed yet after Hao punches him, so rushing to fight in a Star Alliance battleship will only fall into a disadvantage. He believes that it is not too late for him to take revenge for 10 years, and now the priority is to rescue first the Lion Emperor. They continuously walked inside and saw an experimental room and prisons. Upon seeing it, he wondered if there was such a place like this in the 9th tier Imperial ship in his past. He was also curious about what experiment the Star Alliance was doing. He was so confused about what happened to Star Alliance now and what they were planning, knowing that there were a lot of changes compared to his past life. While he was staring at the experimental room, he was distracted when the lady asked him to just leave since they had never seen the Lion Emperor. She was sweating and trembling as she felt uncomfortable in this place. Beiming also felt it all of a sudden. He then noticed the breath of a strong Imperial realm. It was very familiar to Beiming, which made him more curious. After a few seconds, he realizes that the strong breath is coming from Tian Yu, one of the 5 emperors of the Star Alliance. At the same time, Tian Yu also senses a murderous aura. He was walking inside their battleship together with 2 guards. He passes by the experimental room and luckily, Beiming and Liulai are able to hide immediately. Beiming recalls that Emperor Tian Yu was the youngest among the 5 emperors of the Star Alliance. Because of his addiction to sadism, he has the title of the Emperor of Honor in the Star Alliance, and Beiming didn't expect to run into him here. When he was surrounded by the 5 emperors in his previous life, Tian Yu was the first one who attacked him. He was trembling in anger while clenching his fist as he always remembered the pain of that time. After Tian Yu claimed that he smelled someone with a murderous aura, his subordinate said that there might be some demon beasts infiltrating the ship. The other man also said that their ship is heavily guarded, so for him, monsters can't get inside so easily. He then concludes that it might be the breath of a monster that didn't die. Beiming and Liulai then heard Tian Yu state that the monsters really can't get inside the ship, but it's hard to say if this monster is with humans. He slightly smiled, and his subordinate then added that wild monsters are not battle pets, so they can't be with humans. Their conversation ended and they continuously walked away. After they left, both Leali and Beiming deeply breathed and were glad that nobody saw them. Beiming then told her that they could now leave since Tian Yu with those two men was gone. While they were walking, Leali asked Beiming to know the person at the peak of the Emperor realm. Beiming then honestly answered her to make the lady aware of Tian Yu and the 4 other powerful men of the Star Alliance. If I'm in this situation today, it's all because of them, so I vowed to kill them and completely destroy the Star Alliance. Even if I die, I will bring them down with me, he added. Leali then told him that he couldn't die. You lied to me before, I haven't forgiven you yet. Whether it's the 5 great emperors or the Star Alliance, you are not allowed to die until I forgive you, she stated. Beiming was confused, but the lady declared that this was an order she had given to Beiming as his master, and if Beiming dared to disobey, she would never forgive him in this life. Beiming then smiled at her and agreed to what she wanted. All of a sudden, they saw the Blue Lion Emperor, which was guarded by 2 Star Alliance's guards. The Lion Emperor was just silent without knowing that Beiming and his daughter were inside the ship. The two found a way to check the Lion Emperor, and the Lion Emperor was surprised to see them. He then asked why they both came, knowing that it was very dangerous for them. Beiming then answered that they were there to save him. Unfortunately, the ship suddenly moved and Beiming rattled as he knew that it was about to fly. They both then carried the Emperor, but a guard of Star Alliance blocked their way. That is the Lion Emperor. What are you guys doing? The guard asked with a loud voice. He declared that there were intruders on their ship, so numerous guards went to them immediately. Leali then summoned her whip while telling Beiming to go first together with the Lion Emperor. She attacked the enemies using the whip, and 2 of these men were tied together and electrocuted, causing them to scream in agony. They instantly passed out and fell to the ground. The remaining men were planning to modify the attack instructions of the guard puppets, and while they were so loud, Tian Yu and his subordinate heard them. It seems that something fun has happened, Tian Yu uttered with a slight smile on his face. Beiming and the lady chased the opportunity to run away, but Beiming paused and told the lady that the soldiers of Star Alliance won't stop chasing them easily, and the Lion Emperor's injury can't be delayed and should leave as soon as possible. Before they could leave, the people of the Star Alliance caught them. The Lion Emperor was startled as he smelled a powerful aura from the 2 of these men, which are Shi Yu and Shi Rai, a twin member of Star Alliance. Emperor King Shi, where do you want to run? Shi Yu asked. As Beiming turned his head around, they saw several puppets already surrounding them. These puppets see Beiming and Leali as intruders, and they are both the targets of these puppets. Blue Lion Emperor, if you go back to your cell, we can assume that the matter of hurting people in the Star Alliance has never happened. You are seriously injured, and we don't want to be rough with you, Shi Yu added. Beiming then interfered by confidently saying that they were not afraid of these useless people. Shi Rai was mad at Beiming as they felt insulted. He then possessed his power together with his brother Shi Yu. They both pointed their arms at Beiming and shot him. Beiming immediately clenched his fist and activated a boundary where he was standing. Shi Rai was shocked to see Beiming's not-so-simple moves. At this moment, Tian Yu came and smiled upon seeing a brave man, which is Beiming. He then asked how Beiming could send him to hell. He walked towards Beiming with his hand behind him while Beiming stared at him with anger and confirmed that it was really Tian Yu, one of the people who betrayed him. Tian Yu then glanced at the King Shi Emperor and said that he thought if he had abolished the Lion Emperor's cultivation base, he would be more obedient, and now he realized that he was negligent. Obviously, you used to be a dutiful child also before. Who on earth made you like this, little lion? He asked. Before. Father, what is he talking about? Leali asked in confusion. Tian Yu immediately looked at her and concluded that she was the Lion Emperor's daughter. In addition, he felt strange that he couldn't feel the breath of a demon in Leali's body. He went near the lady and gripped her wrist. He stares at the divine whip Leali is holding while saying that he doesn't expect to see this whip one day. The King Shi Emperor was so mad while asking Tian Yu to let go of his daughter. But then, Tian Yu summoned his chain and instantly tied the King Shi Emperor. Leali felt pity and worried for her father, but the lady couldn't do anything. But seeing the whip, I seem to understand. I didn't expect that this trip would have unexpected gains, Tian Yu added. He then deduces that Nalan Leali is a hybrid of human and demon, and upon hearing what he just said, Leali becomes dumbfounded while Beiming understands why the lady really looks like a human. The Star Alliance guards at the same time were confused, knowing that this hybrid is a rarity in the world, and even if they search through the ruins, they might not be able to find a second hybrid of a human and a demon beast. Leali was still in shock and she felt nervous about what she discovered. Since her reaction was so shocked, Tian Yu believes that the lady doesn't know anything, and that the Qingxi Emperor didn't tell her about her mother. "This is not good, little lion. How can you hide such an important thing from your daughter?" he said to the Qingxi Emperor. The Qingxi Emperor was mad and asked him to stop saying anything. Tian Yu then smiled and called Liulai a half-blood girl. Now, he decided to tell Liulai about her mother since the Qingxi Emperor wouldn't say it to the lady himself. Before he could say anything, he sent some arrows aimed at him. He easily caught it and asked if Beiming wasn't afraid of this kind of trick. "Kid, it's not me that you should worry about now," he uttered, and Beiming then felt the two brothers behind him who were about to attack him. "This is the Star Alliance, don't dare to go crazy here," Shiyu said. Beiming was already mad and summoned his skeleton demon gun, but the twin forcibly grabbed it from his hands. "It looks like it will be an interesting battle. You two may as well follow me to the best stand to enjoy it," Tian Yu uttered beside Beiming. Before he left, he told Beiming to not let him down. Beiming then holds tightly to his weapon while suggesting the twin to save time and just leave him alone. The twin is very challenged to fight against him, and Shiyu activates his moon fist technique and tries to punch Beiming, but Beiming is able to dodge it. Shiyu screamed in anger and he and his brother surrounded Beiming. He tried to possess some flame, but it indeed exploded, and he admitted himself that he was being careless. During his fight, Tian Yu was still watching him, but he was so disappointed as he thought that Beiming could bring him some fun. On the other hand, he also tied Liulai with his chain just like what he did to the Qingxi Emperor. What kind of hero is more bullying than less? Don't you be afraid to spread it out and make the world laugh, Liulai said. Tian Yu looked at her and called her sharp teeth and mouth. He said that even if Beiming is an inhuman ghost, he is still in the same line as Liulai's mother. The Qingxi Emperor was worried for Liulai, so he angrily asked Tian Yu not to hurt Liulai. "Wait, I think it'll be fun," he answered. He then asked the twin to leave Beiming with a sigh of relief. "I want him to live. When we conduct breeding experiments on you, cut off your limbs for genetic research, and finally make you into a specimen. Your little lover will watch the whole process in the special seat I set up," Tian Yu stated. Beiming was staring mad at him while thinking that if he wanted to retreat with Liulai and the Qingxi Emperor, he must retain the strength to deal with Tian Yu at the moment, but he knew that these people were really difficult to deal with. All of a sudden, his little pig comes out without him summoning it. The little pig senses that Beiming is in pain, so he wants to help. Beiming was shocked to see this little pig sincerely help him. At the same time, the twin told Beiming that he could let go if he was willing to apologize for his previous ruthlessness and admit his mistakes. They also saw the little pig and belittled it. "No matter what, anyway, if you just say to leave you a breath, then you will be beaten to death," Shiyu said. At this point, the little pig has gone mad and activated his power. Both men of Star Alliance were shocked the moment they saw azure flames surrounding them. Beiming then slightly smiled as he knew what the little piggy was planning. Liulai and her father were still here and witnessed how Beiming became three while the twin disappeared. The Star Alliance's guards were confused about who's the real Beiming between the three. It was the skill of the little piggy called as Bite the Sun and Moon technique. With this, all of the people were confused where's the true Beiming between the three. The real Beiming smiles while looking at the twins who had a conflict just because they didn't believe each other, claiming that they were not the intruder. They then realized that Beiming's little pig made a deception, that's why they ended up like this. They were accusing each other and denied that they were not the real Chen Beiming. One of them pointed to the real Beiming, but Beiming denied it and said that he was not Chen Beiming. The three were arguing, which made all the people confused more and more. One of the fake Chen Beiming then possessed his flame and rushed to the one of Beiming's looked alike. Because of his speed, the other fake Chen Beiming believes that he is the real Chen Beiming, so he fights back and ends up punching each other and creating a huge explosion after their fists collide. Shirai kneeled on the ground and realized that the attack hit on him was his brother Shiyu's stunt. Before he could say more, he was surprised after he confirmed that it was really his brother who beat him up, and now back to his original face. Little Piggy's skill had already expired and both of them couldn't believe that they ended up hurting each other. The real Beiming smiles while staring at them, knowing that he didn't hold out hope at all when Little Piggy gave him this idea. He didn't expect the effect to be surprisingly good. Shiyu at this moment carried his brother Shirai, asking if he was fine, but then Shiyu became weak and in pain. Now you know who is the real one. Next, before sending Tian Yu to the underworld, you two should clear the way for him, Beiming said. All of a sudden, Tian Yu activated his chain and struck Shiyu without any reason. He still has the guts to smile after doing such cruelty, and Beiming was mad at him for betraying the Shi brothers like what he had done to Beiming back then. In the end, both twins were dead and betrayed by Tian Yu. I was a little boy playing tricks. The Star Alliance wants you to use such rubbish, Tian Yu said and laughed. He stated that a strong person with a high level of cultivation is not easily deceived by illusion. And since Beiming dares to use illusion on the two great King Hunter peaks, he believes that Beiming is really courageous and he is very satisfied with Beiming's strength to be his opponent. "Now I will meet you personally," he uttered, and Beiming in front of him prepared himself as he sensed a strong breath from Tian Yu. Tian Yu then activated chains on his both hands and attacked Beiming with it. Luckily, Beiming was able to dodge it and managed to attack back using his arrows. Unfortunately, Tian Yu managed to block all the arrows with his chain and he belittled Beiming for thinking that he could be hurt with this weapon. His expression suddenly changes after he sees Beiming summoning another weapon. He summoned his skeletal demon gun and Tian Yu this time concluded that Beiming prepared a lot of tricks. He attacked Beiming once more and Beiming immediately activated his shocking dragon breaking the sky technique. His golden dragons appeared and were able to bite the chains. The chain has been broken and fell on the ground, but Tian Yu doesn't care at all. He becomes more excited to see a lot of tricks from Beiming. "You don't think this is over, do you?" Beiming asked. He then raised his weapon and threw it towards Tian Yu. Tian Yu smiled and controlled Beiming's weapon and grabbed it with his hand while saying that Beiming had a good spear. "Really?" Beiming answered. And his next weapon surprised Tian Yu. It was the black gold mech and instantly shot Tian Yu with it. "This, the third generation black gold mech," Tian Yu uttered. When the flame appeared in front of him, he rattled, and everyone witnessed he was covered by the flame. His subordinates couldn't believe what just happened while Beiming confidently told them that Tian Yu was already dead this time. Unfortunately, Beiming was wrong since Tian Yu suddenly appeared behind him. Seeing him makes Liulai panic and immediately tells Beiming to look behind. Beiming then turned around with a startled face after seeing Tian Yu, but then, he didn't have the chance to dodge since Tian Yu struck him in the chest without any words using his black arm. "Hey, I intended to keep you alive, but I didn't expect you to hide the third generation black gold mech. Then don't blame me for being ruthless," Tian Yu stated. This time, Beiming is coughing while trembling in pain. Despite the fact that he's in pain, Beiming still attacked him with a dagger. But then, Tian Yu easily broke it with just his hand slashing it. "Can you resist being poisoned? It's a pity that this thing is useless to me," he proudly said. Beiming was staring at him with anger. Beiming slowly closed his eyes and he passed out. He then unintentionally recalls the time he was betrayed in his previous life. There are men in front of him and one of them is saying that Beiming deserves to be the first person under his seat since he still has a breath while ordinary people have been killed by serious injury. In addition, the man doesn't want to keep Beiming alive as he is afraid that sooner or later, Beiming will threaten them. According to him, a few of them spent thousands of years, exhausting countless talents to break through to the Emperor realm while Beiming in this life has broken through from an ordinary hunter to the same cultivation base as them in just a dozen years, which makes them feel insulted. One of these men is Tian Yu. Before Beiming died, he said that he missed Beiming once for the Star Alliance made great contributions, and as a supreme leader of the Star Alliance, he declared to send Beiming one last time together. While he was spitting words, Beiming was holding his chest as he was also struck in the chest back then by Tian Yu. He was so mad at these men, especially Tian Yu, and he promised to make them pay for this. Even this time, Snowball was with him. All of a sudden, Beiming gets back to his senses. He was surprised as he found himself in an unfamiliar place again. He gets up in confusion because of the memory from his past life and also the place where he is right now as he remembers that he should be on the 9th tier Imperial ship of Star Alliance. He then instantly recalled that he was attacked by Tian Yu again for the second time. Since he was killed twice by the same means, he comes to the conclusion that he is destined to not escape from this disaster. He remembers his loved ones, Shui, Gaoxian, Yuru, Kingshuan, and Zi. He was afraid that something bad might happen to him once he was gone forever, so he told himself not to just die like this so easily. This time, a golden light emerged from his body and he saw the sign of the Nirvana ancient Bible. At the present time, a golden scripture comes out from his body, and seeing it makes Tian Yu surprised. Surprisingly, Beiming's body at the present time gets up and sits down while refining the Nirvana ancient Bible. He believes that Tian Yu didn't know what evil method he used to bring him back to life, so if he wanted to deal with him, he could only use the Imperial Realm technique. Although Beiming's current cultivation base cannot bear the intensity of the exercises, this is the only way Beiming can do. Beiming possessed the ancient seals of Buddha and Tian Yu was very confused about what was going on to Beiming. The Star Alliance's puppets then aimed at Beiming and attacked one fire each. Luckily, Beiming instantly opened his eyes in time. With the help of his Nirvana ancient Bible, he easily blocked all the attacks coming to him. Everyone was shocked upon seeing it, and Beiming then struck the puppets together with a golden stick. All of the puppets in the area got damaged and Tian Yu was now dumbfounded. He was shocked while he was staring at Beiming, who summoned a golden cocoon, and even Leeli was surprised to see it herself. Beiming was covered by the cocoon and started cultivating. At the same time, the golden Buddha phantom appeared above him, and Tian Yu concludes that Beiming is using the cultivation method of the ancient Buddhist sect, and he can sense that Beiming's spirit power is gradually filling. He feels nervous as he instantly feels such a majestic soul power from Beiming, and he deduces that Beiming is about to break through. Beiming's skeletal demon gun suddenly moves from the ground and floats above while Tian Yu is staring at it in confusion. This weapon then went towards the cocoon and struck it. The golden cocoon broke and Beiming caught the skeletal demon gun. "Sorry, Tian Yu. I had an appointment and couldn't die until someone forgave me, which disappointed you," Beiming uttered. His aura is much more powerful than before and his wound also disappeared. "Disappointment? No, it would be better to say that you have lived. Then I can enjoy the pleasure of killing you again," Tian Yu replied while possessing a powerful aura. He then teases Beiming by saying that Beiming is just relying on the mysterious technique of the ancient Buddhist school to come back to life, and also break through to the hunting emperor realm. He added that Beiming was still the first to dare to make a breakthrough in front of him. "But just to what extent has my strength progressed? Let me learn about it," he uttered. He then used his power to cast some technique and Beiming felt nervous this time. Tian Yu was able to activate a lightning strike inside the ship, and everyone got scared to be hit by it, so they ran away as fast as they could. Tian Yu was covered by this lightning, and Beiming was shocked as he knew that Tian Yu was casting the heavenly thunder mana. Tian Yu ironically smiles and attacks Beiming with this lightning. Beiming then screamed while activating his startled dragon technique and used it as a shield to protect himself. Unfortunately, the shield got broken and Beiming flew away, but he managed to stand still while admitting the fact that Tian Yu is indeed powerful. Very good, very good. Breakthrough to the Emperor hunting realm is really different, so that's interesting," Tian Yu uttered. He then asked Beiming to struggle with all his heart before he died and bring him endless joy. Beiming was staring at him with anger, and he knew that Tian Yu was using the Chijin Imperial Thunder Pestle, which is an excellent magic weapon made by Tian Yu himself with half of his life, soul essence, and blood. He admitted that it's extremely difficult for him to destroy it. Other than that, he also knew that Tian Yu had a regeneration ability. This time, he can only take a gamble. From the other room where the Lion Emperor and Leeli were brought, the Lion Emperor heard some people from the Star Alliance behind him talking about going to a safe place to avoid danger. He heard these men saying that there was a word from the cockpit that they were going through the black fog soon, and the rain inside would corrode them to the point that there was no slag left. They believe that if it happens, the ship will crash and every one of them might not survive. After hearing it, the Lion Emperor immediately crushed the chain tied to his body. He manages to free himself and immediately goes to his daughter, informing the lady that the rain and the black mist will expose all the creatures in it to corrosion. And he believes Tian Yu is not a fuel-efficient lamp, while Beiming is only afraid of bad luck. What he wants now is to leave this airship first and save his daughter. But then, Leeli doesn't agree as he believes that Beiming will come back alive, so she wants to wait for Beiming before leaving the ship. She then walked away and headed to where Beiming and Tian Yu were. "It's over, kid. Your death date has come," Tian Yu uttered while facing Beiming. "Not necessarily," Beiming answered with a slight smile on his face and stared at the black mist that was about to drop. Tian Yu rattled upon seeing the rain of black mist. He concludes that it was Beiming who made this idea, and he thought that Beiming would also be in danger, but to his surprise, Beiming was unharmed as he was covered by a barrier. As per Beiming, the ancient seals of the Buddhas, the immovable King Ming, resist all harm at the cost of continuous burning of life and soul. Tian Yu grits his teeth out of anger, and there's black smoke coming out from his body because of the rain of black mist that is burning him. "I am the first to burn if you die with all your life and soul. You should be eroded by the rain and die first. Come and take a break, Tian Yu," Beiming said. Some parts of the ship exploded and the Star Alliance's guards were burned by the rain of a black mist. They panicked while trying to run away, knowing that their battleship had started to explode. On the other hand, the Lion Emperor is still begging Leeli to find a safe place first and wait for Beiming. Leeli agreed at this time as she knew that it would be dangerous for them to stay. Before she left, she was staring at the airship first, hoping that Beiming would come back alive. Beiming at this moment was still covered by a barrier while facing Tian Yu, waiting for this man to die in front of him. Shockingly, Tian Yu possessed horns and a centipede tail. Beiming was shocked upon seeing it, and he remembers that Tian Yu's pet is a 9-headed centipede demon emperor. And now that Tian Yu looks like a centipede, he concludes that this man swallowed his own pet. Tian Yu smiled widely and confirmed it himself, but he didn't feel remorse at all. He even explained to Beiming that cultivating a tacit understanding with a battle pet will cost several times the effort, not to mention worrying about it being killed when fighting. Instead of so much effort, let it be a part of me for my use, he proudly said. Beiming then activates his ancient seals of Buddha's shadows that create an illusion of him. Tianyu calls him greedy and instantly slashes all of his illusions. Tianyu then stated that Beiming fights alone and has to burn his life and soul while he has already merged with his battle pet and is not fighting alone at all. You actually want to practice this kind of heavenly way too. It's a pity that God doesn't bother waiting for fools at all. Only the truly chosen ones are qualified to practice this way, he stated just to tease Beiming. What kind of gods and ghosts, but the use of the ancient evil methods to obtain the blood of the pet's natural gift. Beiming answered, for him, the hunter and the pet are partners, a partner for life and irreplaceable family members. He was so mad for the cruelty that was done by Tianyu, and he said that Tianyu's qualification to be a hunter is very disgusting. Tianyu's lightning becomes so strong while claiming that he is the chosen son of heaven. What if I don't become a hunter? Discuss qualifications with me, and don't look at how much life and soul I have left, he answered. He then told Beiming that he was willing to say what kind of person is the least qualified to be a hunter. Beiming this time possessed his shocking dragon kills the sky technique, and Tianyu panicked upon seeing two golden dragons dashing towards him. These dragons wrap him up while he asks them to let him go. He screamed in agony and the dragons disappeared, but he was already wounded and kneeled on the ground. Beiming stood in front of him while holding the weapon, and Tianyu admitted the fact that he was lost to an Imperial Hunter kid, which is Chen Beiming. Beiming then said that Tianyu didn't lose to him. For him, Tianyu's favorite abandoned him and he is the one who fought alone. Honestly, go to hell and apologize, Beiming said. At the same time, the Lion Emperor and Leali successfully find a way to come out from the ship. Before they could completely leave, Leali felt sad and was hesitant to leave Beiming alone. Once exposed to the rain of black mist, there will be no bones left. The hunter is afraid that it will be too bad, so let's leave, the Lion Emperor explained. But Leali still didn't want to leave and asked her father to wait for more time. Luckily, Beiming finally came and called them. The first thing Leali noticed was that Chen Beiming hadn't been eroded by the rain of black mist, and she also wondered where Tianyu was. Beiming landed in front of them with a smile on his face. He stood and told the Lion Emperor that the situation was urgent. According to him, the Imperial ship is about to explode completely, so they need to leave first as soon as possible and just talk after they find a safe place to hide. But there is black mist outside. How do we leave? Leali asked. Beiming then remembers his airship that he made, and he knows that it can only take a shot at the moment, although the protection performance is not as good as that of this 9th tier Imperial ship. He hides the airship in the bush after they arrive here at the Gii Mountain. He then ordered it to come to him as quickly as possible. The airship then moves and flies towards the Imperial ship of the Star Alliance to fetch Beiming. Beiming then told both Leali and the Lion Emperor that this airship was owned by him. Meanwhile, a mysterious man appeared in the area where Tianyu died. This man is Xinqi. He was wearing a white cloak while he was covered with a barrier to avoid being burned by the black mist. He was standing on the ground while facing the skeleton of Tianyu. Finally found you, he uttered. He then used his power to pick up all the broken parts of Tianyu's skeleton. After getting it, he brought the skeleton to a secret room and started connecting it like a puzzle. He successfully formed Tianyu's skeleton and made it alive again. Because of his help, Tianyu came back to life and he smiled widely. He recalls that he was eclipsed by the rain of black mist and concludes that it was Xinqi who helped him. The required information has been collected and can be returned. Just make the most of it and add a little more stuff, nothing more. Time to go back, Xinqi stated. He already activates a portal, but it seems like Tianyu doesn't want to go with him. He was greedy to kill Beiming and swallow his breath. By the way, there are those guys. Hey, you have the intention, he stated. At the same time in the mountain, the old demon emperor was captured by Liu Qianfen. The old demon emperor was too slow, so Liu Qianfen pulled him and ordered him to hurry. According to him, once he meets his grandfather, he can take this ring on his neck and the treasures of the Qingxi Palace. When the time comes, he believes that he will be able to put the ring around Leali's neck so the lady will be his slave girl for a lifetime. The old demon emperor is so mad with his plan and he scares Liu Qianfen that he will not be able to escape once Leali finds out about his plan. Liu Qianfen guffaws and belittles Leali's ability. He was together with the crow and they rattled and ran to escape upon seeing an airship going on their way. Liu Qianfen was also rattled the moment he saw that it was going to land in the area where he was standing. Beiming successfully landed on the ground without knowing that they bumped into someone. He comes out from his airship while asking what place they are right now. The old demon emperor was glad to see the lady finally back, while Beiming at the same time wondered if they were now at the burial valley. Since Liulai recalls that she let this old demon emperor guard Lu Qianfeng, she asked the old demon emperor herself where the Tao Tai and the others were right now. The old demon emperor then answered that Lu Qianfeng was now dead, as he really thought that the Tao Tai was dead after being hit by Beiming's airship. Say who is dead? This young master is fine. It's you guys and dogs again. Last time this young master was caught carelessly by you. This time I won't let you succeed, Lu Qianfeng suddenly said. He then possessed his power while saying that no one could protect them, even the Blue Lion Emperor. Why are you again, stupid dog? Beiming asked. The Lion Emperor greeted Lu Qianfeng since he wasn't aware that there was a conflict between Beiming and this Tao Tai. All of a sudden, someone came which surprised Beiming and the Lion Emperor. Upon checking, it was the Gluttonous Emperor together with two subordinates. Beiming was staring at him, and the Gluttonous Emperor did the same thing, as he knew that it was Chen Beiming Tian Yu wanted to kill. He doesn't have any idea why Tian Yu wanted to kill Beiming, but he planned to kill Beiming himself on behalf of Tian Yu, as he was expecting to get some reward. It is rare for you to come to the region of our clan, so let the brothers do the friendship of the landlord. Please come to the hall to tell, he stated. Beiming and the Lion Emperor were staring at each other and agreed together. Meanwhile, they arrived at the gourmet hall and sat on the table. The Lion Emperor laughed while telling what happened to the Star Alliance and Tian Yu. Beiming then advises him not to get excited since he was seriously injured. The Lion Emperor then showed his appreciation to Beiming for saving his life for the second time. He said that if it weren't for Beiming, he's afraid that he would have been made into a specimen by the bastards of the Star Alliance. The Emperor's words are serious. You and I are allies. As long as the Star Alliance can be defeated, it is incumbent on you. But when it comes to the Star Alliance, Lion Emperor and Tian Yu seem to have known each other for a long time. Beiming answered. He brings this topic up just because he can feel that Tian Yu's statement about Liulai is really true. At this point, the Lion Emperor didn't dare to lie. He confirmed it, and he said that he did have a deep intersection with the Star Alliance in the past. Liulai was shocked, and even the old demon emperor. While they were talking, someone came. It was Lu Qianfeng. He informed everyone that his grandfather prepared a banquet for the Lion Emperor, and he was here to fetch the emperor. The Lion Emperor then stood and accepted the invitation. He also invited Beiming to go with him, but Lu Qianfeng disagreed and said that the banquet is only for the monsters. The monster and the hunter are in the same situation, and it is indeed wrong to go to the banquet next. And there is also a private matter to deal with. It is better to ask the old demon emperor to accompany the Lion Emperor to the banquet first. Beiming answered. The Lion Emperor then lets Lu Qianfeng decide. On the other hand, Liulai stood while thinking about the mixture of humans and monsters. He was startled when Beiming asked her what was wrong with the mixed race. The Emperor is going to pick up the dust for you. I'll invite you to the banquet. However, because only monsters can participate, I will return to the house after sending you to the ground. Beiming added. Liulai felt sad while claiming that she's neither a human being nor a monster beast, so she cannot say if she's eligible to go. I haven't seen my mother since I was a child, and only my father loves me in the Kingshi Palace. I always thought that I was not treated by everyone because of my lack of practice and incomprehension. Now I think about it because I am a non-human and non-demon monster, she added. He turned around while saying that the banquet was only for the monsters, and she asked Beiming if she should participate as a monster beast or refuse the invitation as a human being. Beiming then told her that she's the young miss of the Kingshi Palace, so she can go to the banquet calmly. When monsters are good, they become monsters, and when humans are good, they become humans. This ability to take advantage of whatever you want, I can't ask for it. I really don't know what to entangle. Besides, I see a lot of thighs like monsters. If a cute girl like the young miss is also considered a weird thing, then what did I see before? He added. This statement coming from Beiming makes the lady thrilled and speechless. Beiming widely smiled at her while telling her that it's better to think about what she wants if she's entangled about what she really is. For him, the Lion Emperor and Liulai's mother are still the same, breaking through the barriers between humans and monsters, accepting each other, and finally giving birth to the young miss. Don't hesitate to go to the banquet, because no matter what happens in the future, you will always be you, just like Shui, the little lord I cherish, he added. And the lady was confused about who this Shui Beiming just mentioned. Beiming then told her that Shui was his younger sister, and that he thinks of Shui whenever he sees Liulai, since both ladies are about the same age, and he feels like his younger sister is next to the young miss. Because of what Beiming said, the lady feels a little bit annoyed and instantly decides to leave and go to the banquet, leaving Beiming in confusion as to why the lady suddenly changes mood. After that, Beiming went to the room that was prepared by the Tao Tai family for him to rest. He was staring at his dagger that was broken by Tian Yu. Fortunately, Snowball finally regains health. It's broken like this, it's impossible to repair it. And this dagger, it seems that there is poison in Tian Yu's body, which has corroded the dagger. It seems that I have to think about getting a new weapon, Beiming said. He glanced at Beiming and suggested to his little pet to get more rest, but then Snowball ignored him as he saw some treasure mixed with Beiming's broken dagger. Beiming was shocked knowing that this thing was not part of his dagger. He knows that it was accidentally mixed in when the fragments were recovered. And now, he concludes that this fragment is the fragment of the Chijin Thunder Pestle. This fragment is indeed a superior magic weapon. Even if it is broken into pieces, the soul power has not diminished much. If it can be integrated into a weapon, it may be able to obtain power that is almost the same as that of the Chijin Thunder Pestle. With the idea of fusion into the weapon, Beiming remembers that there is information about weapon fusion from his parents. Going back to the gourmet hall, the Tai Tai family was here together with the Lion Emperor. The Tao Tai Emperor Zai Yu was showing his happiness that the Lion Emperor was safe. The Lion Emperor was thankful for his concern, and he said that he only needed to meditate and recuperate, not to move rashly to recover fast. He believes that he will be ready to unite with Beiming again to fight the Star Alliance once his injuries are in good condition. He was also expecting Zai Yu to come with them and fight against the Star Alliance. Zai Yu then asked who this hunter he was referring to. The Lion Emperor then said that the hunter he was talking about was a hunter who knew the Star Alliance very well and had great skills. Other than that, Beiming also has a deep hatred for the Star Alliance, and this is the reason why this emperor wanted to fight the Star Alliance with Beiming. He believes that if Zai Yu agrees to help each other, the Crow Cave Emperor will also come with them. Zai Yu laughed and said that the Lion Emperor didn't know anything. According to him, when the Kingshi Palace was attacked, the Crow Cave was also taken over by the Star Alliance. The cave owner and the young master were captured, and the rest of the tribe were emptied of their internal organs, and there was no life left. The Lion Emperor was shocked after learning about the Star Alliance's cruelty. He even punched the table with his fist because of his anger. Zai Yu then added that helping with hunters is really not a good thing for them, and he concludes that the hunter with the Lion Emperor is also pretending to be an opportunity to harm him. Shut up. Chen Beiming is not that kind of person, Liu Lai said angrily. Zai Yu ignored him and added that he once heard that in ancient times, hunters and monsters coexisted harmoniously, and the two sides who had become masters of cultivation would even marry. Tianfin was shocked upon hearing it, and at the same time, Zai Yu claims that the Lion Emperor had also heard of this rumor. The Lion Emperor was stuttering while he answered that he did hear insiders talk about this rumor. Liu Lai wanted to cut him off, but he only sighed and started talking about the past. He said that at that time, the ruined land was not as barren as it is now. Legend has it that in ancient times, the land of the ruins was fertile, and the birds and flowers were like heaven. Humans and monsters are intimate and coexist as equals. Until one day in the ancient times, a disaster struck, and the sky suddenly descended into an endless fire that scorched the bountiful land, destroying everything like a mountainous beast and turning heaven on earth into hell. In this desperate situation, humans and monsters fight each other like crazy to survive, and the old friendship is gone. Since then, humans and monster beasts have been completely guilty. In order to effectively deal with monsters, the hunter also came into being as per the Lion Emperor. It's just that no one knows where the disaster came from, and there is no record in the relevant documents. He says that he only knows these things by listening to what his insiders say. Liu Lai felt sad again as she knew that this insider her father was talking about was her mother. Maybe this is also an opportunity to resolve the grievances between the two parties, Emperor. Zai Yu said, "Just from our generation, let humans and monsters reconcile." The Lion Emperor answered. Liu Lai beside him couldn't believe what her father declared. All of a sudden, a blue flame emerged at the Tao Tai Palace. Zai Yu screamed to ask what was going on, and the wolf guard said that there was a strange fire. Liu Lai then concludes that the fire was from Chen Beiming's room. She then ran away while her father was calling her, but she didn't listen at all. Beiming at this point was staring at this blue flame, and he was impressed while staring at it. He was doing a weapon fusion by following the fusion book of his parents. He instantly changes mood while wondering if this weapon fusion book is reliable for his parents, knowing that there is nothing like fusion weapons before, and even the Star Alliance has never tried it. He was so confused about what his parents thought about doing this thing. Regardless, he knows that there is no such thing as a weapon in hand anyway. He prepared his skeletal demon gun as he planned to use it in his weapon fusion. He also possessed a heavenly refining device soul, ground shaping device body, profound and solid shape, and a yellow fixed device god. After he combined all these, he pointed it at his weapons, and both his broken dagger and skeletal demon gun floated in the air, while surrounded by a purple flame. According to him, the vital essence and blood fused to refine weapons with the soul power in the blood. He cut himself and put some blood on his weapons, and he was surprised to see what just happened next. His two weapons were being fused and started to become a new one. After it was completely made, a sudden explosion happened inside his room and an unbelievable weapon appeared in front of him. He feels so much heat from this weapon as if there is endless fire burning in his body, and every bone and every vein of his is extremely tingling. He then concludes that it might be because of the drop of blood. He was staring at the weapons and he felt like he had been thrown into the fire. Beiming this time grabbed the newly fused weapon and his body was out of control. He closed his eyes and instantly opened them while saying, "Come out to me." He was holding the weapon tight and even Snowball felt the powerful pressure from it. Outside his room, the flame was coming out and Leolai confirmed that it was really from Beiming's room. Her father accompanied her and even his emperor was curious about what was going on. Beiming suddenly opened the door and he laughed while saying that he successfully fused his weapons. He saw Leolai and the lion and emperor and he told them that he put together his weapons that were destroyed and fused them together to create a new one. As expected, the lion emperor was shocked to know about this weapon fusion. The old demon emperor also came and said that he was afraid no one would dare to think about the whole ruined place. While they were talking, they weren't aware that Yu was spying on them. After knowing that Beiming was able to fuse a weapon, he immediately reported to Tian Yu. Unexpectedly, this kid has two brushes. His subordinates had underestimated him before, so he came to report to his superior. Yu stated. Tian Yu then said that this kind of little trick is not to be feared. He then asked Yu to pay close attention to Beiming and not reveal his identity before he killed Beiming personally. Obey orders and respect. Yu answered politely. But it's a surprise anyway. I had to give this kid a gift of congratulation. Tian Yu uttered. The Star Alliance went to the new city of Beiming without Beiming knowing it. Under the mediation of the Saint Emperor Qingxi and the Emperor Gourmet, the monsters accepted the cooperation with Chen Beiming. The scene of monsters and human beings regaining their ancient friendship and building a harmonious family together seems to be in sight. However, a large web of conspiracy has quietly spread. Blood, hate, betrayal, death, and darkness envelop the ruined land step by step. And Chen Beiming will join forces with monsters and hunters to officially fight against the Star Alliance. A new adventure is about to unfold. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you wish to have another part of this recap, please give us at least 2,000 likes. Please don't forget to comment and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Until next time.